And welcome to another exciting installment of the Terrorisk
Podcast.
Podcast.
I'm here with Chris Kim. I'm Carmen.
Yep.
Prince.
Yep.
How's it going, man?
A few days before the new year, last episode of the year. I'm feeling great. I guess we could start off with some current events, some news. It's actually funny. I asked a friend recently. I was like, "How do you feel about the new formatting and stuff?" And he was like, "Well, you guys like seem to be covering the news lately, and I'm not really into that." And I was like, interesting, and then now I'm realizing, like, every time I asked him about like advice, like he always had like the worst takes. It's like every
Okay, so the opposite of whatever.
yeah. So it's also I'd rather him have a stronger opinion than like a lukewarm take. Like,
that's true. Yeah, is that true? Direct.
But
rather strong than lukewarm. Hate or love.
I preferred it when it was more free form, and I think it's because, and I also think like maybe people who are close to me, it's also like, I don't know. We talked about this in the kitchen before, how like things would kind of change for us if this podcast suddenly gained like a bit of traction, and maybe like one or two people on the streets in New York could stop you and say, "Aren't you that guy on that podcast?"
I've already had that experience where someone heard my voice and they recognized me from a Twitter space, and then we became friends.
Yeah.
This is my friend Kai, the Indonesian Chinese guy. He just approached me and addressed me by my Twitter handle of Cromwell at an event I was at, which was great. Actually, it was great to have a friendship bloom because of that.
Yeah. So I mean, like but I guess with a podcast, it's like it's something else because it's kind of like a brand attached to it. So it's like, if it gets big, I could honestly say it'll be bigger than me.
Yeah.
I'd want to get it to a point where it's like, yeah, Terrorisk could function without me, sure.
I don't think that's true though, because so much podcasts are inherently personality driven. We're not dealing with like an NPR segment.
I mean, the format is ours though.
Yeah.
That's ours. Like I can't think of anyone else who was like, let's use a tarot suit as a format guide for podcasting, and I think that's pretty novel for me.
Yeah, that's true. Also, because of the kind of podcast it is, I'm sure that you might have something. I don't know if that's true. You have a better idea. Something like that for something that's purely like tarot reading or New Age stuff. But
I mean, I've
to use it outside of it, much like you would in a JRPG, where the entire spellcasting system is based on tarot. I guess I'm thinking of Saga Frontier. Do you ever play Saga Frontier?
I've heard of it. It's a JRPG.
Yeah.
It sounds like a JRPG title, like Saga Frontier.
Yeah, you're right.
Chrono Cross.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, things that sound pretty, but they don't fucking mean anything. Like, what the fuck is a Final Fantasy? Is there any
I guess like Dragon Quest, even Dragon Quest, frankly. Like every famous JRPG,
like ridiculous.
I guess Star Ocean, because it's like a space opera that feels fairly straightforward.
Yeah.
Xenosaga, Xenogears, nope, doesn't make any sense. Final Fantasy, famously mocked because of the contradictory title.
It is funny. They use tarot. They use astrology. Astrology. They use ancient Sumerian mythology, I think, in some cases. But
a lot of Gnosticism in JRPGs.
Oh yeah, of course.
A lot of what else? What does he have? A lot of it is vague. Yeah, a lot of it is Occidentalism, right? Like JRPGs are often defined by Occidentalism because they're like downstream of Japs playing D&D and Wizardry. Mm-hmm. Wizardry, the computer series in particular, like I think a lot of JRPGs are just directly like based off of that and off of other blobbers. Are you familiar with blobber as like a subgenre?
No.
It used to be like the most prominent way of like RPGs where you're like in a first person view and you have like the party members' faces at the bottom of the screen.
Okay, yeah, I know.
Like that. That's a blob. Or it's based on the fact
isn't that more WRPG? Like Western RPG?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's a Western RPG style that fell out of fashion because, frankly, it no longer was a technological necessity. In 1982, this was the best way of showing every single person within the party.
Yeah.
And then once you could, render every single figure, it stopped being very common except in nostalgia series like, Legend of Grimrock or something.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, they rip from tarot with a lot of their themes, but I think Terrorisk is less like that, like less like you seeing like new age spiritual shit in like a JRPG context, but more like you end up in prison, and then there's always that one weirdo who's like, "Yo, what's up? You want to get your tarot read? Yo, what's up? Yo, yo, I could do your palm reading, bro. It's like, you know, and then, you know, like they'll be like, at first they'll be like, get the fuck out of here, you fruit cup, yo. Don't make me fucking stab you. I'll shank you in your sleep if you come at me like that again. But then after like a month or two, they'll be like, yo, you still doing that tarot shit, bro? Yo, read my fucking tarot, bro. My little cousin into that shit. And then some Mexican guy will be like, not me, Holmes. That shit is bad juju, Holmes. That shit is some heresy. That shit is some antichrist shit.
Yeah,
I'm just kind of playing out.
I don't know enough about prison culture because, like,
oh, you've never been institutionalized like me.
That's true. Yes, exactly. You have.
Yeah. I mean,
so you are actually speaking from experience there.
No, I mean, I've never been to a real jail, like
yeah.
Like to me, I would consider like the lowest level real jail in New York, like Rikers or something. But my institutionalized experience was like a few weeks spent in juvie. Mm-hmm. I mean, that sucked because like, yeah, it's just a juvenile detention center. It's a juvenile detention center. Mm-hmm. It's like a small network of them in the city actually, but you're still in there with like 17-year-old, 16-year-old, 15-year-old hoodlums with like bodies, you know, like these kids like killed people before. Or maybe it's a lot harder to get away with that shit back in like post 2010 era. You know, this is like a little further back, like maybe 09. But yeah, speaking of changing times, we can move on to current events. And I would say first topic is last episode we talked a little bit about Nick Fuentes. So this time I did a little bit of research, and I decided to get into. Hold on, let me change the display. I decided to look up his like funniest moments. I was like, that should be fun. Let's check that out. So I did that, and we'll check it out here.
Well, listen up, left-wing scum. In the second administration of President Donald Trump, Heritage America is back. We're deporting every criminal illegal alien. And we're also going to work to deport anyone that supports Hamas and Hezbollah, anyone that gives support to Iran, and the terrorists, anyone that's anti-Semitic, anyone that denies the Holocaust.
They need it.
Okay, so I had to look this up because everyone kept saying like, why do you even give him the time of day? It's like, because he's fucking funny. I was like, is he really that funny? I got to see. And then I was just like, top 5 funniest moments of Nick Fuentes.
This is literally the party for retards.
A few moments later.
Okay, what the fuck is this now? It's like R2-D2. Sorry, but you're a woman. You're not going to tell me what to do. I know you're not used to being talked to like that, but this is a real nigga you're talking to.
That's so you.
This is some real nigga shit. If black people were super well behaved, we would be racist in the other direction. We'd say, black people, oh yes, dude, yes. My day is about to turn around for the better. What can I help you with, sir? Please, come right on in.
Why is he this way? Oh my god, bro. Oh my god, bro. Hey, Nick crazy for real, bro.
Why do you enjoy that so much?
Hey, bro.
That's funny.
One day, me and Candace Owens, we're going to be driving, listening to Yay, and then we're going to see a Popeyes on the side of the road, and we're going to look at each other. We're going to exchange a knowing glance. And then we're gonna go, and then we're gonna pull in. We're gonna take a hard right turn, and we're gonna go through the Popeyes drive-thru, and then we're gonna ride off into the sunset. It's gonna be great. Fucking love her. I love her. I hate her. I love her. I hate her. But I love her.
Yeah, he's a psycho. All right.
Look, can we just leave this up on the screen and we can run through it because it's what, just AI generated? Do you want me to read it through it quickly?
This was written by the American Jewish Committee.
Oh boy.
You want me to read it?
They might as well be. It's probably AI generated anyway.
Nick Fuentes, 27, is a white supremacist, Holocaust denier who hates Jews. Fuentes gained notoriety amongst the fringes of society as a freshman at Boston University. Wow. When he attended the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, where hundreds of torch-bearing far-right demonstrators chanted, "Jews will not replace us." Fuentes prefers to be called a Christian conservative rather than a white supremacist. Raised Roman Catholic, he hailed the recent U.S. Supreme Court ruling that overturned Roe v. Wade as the advent of a Catholic Taliban rule, in a good way, and encourages other Christian nationalists to do the same. America will cease to exist as a Christian nation, he says, if it loses its white demographic core and if it loses its faith in Jesus Christ. In a debate on Alex Jones's InfoWars in May 2021, he said that Jews have no place in Western civilization because they are not Christian. And I wanted to add that part in because I was like, what's the most anti-Fuentes take I could find, and it was from the American Jewish Committee. I was like, that looks good, But there's probably way worse stuff out there, against him. It's just, I don't know. I thought it was
Okay, so
fair.
a couple of thoughts here. I probably said it before. First off, I look at him and I think this is narcissistic, and I'm too awkward, let's say, to do it. But I look at him and I think, boy, I wonder if that could have been me if I wasn't lazy or was driven.
Probably.
But he's a great radio presenter. He has a great radio voice. He's a funny guy.
Dude, women are turned on by him.
Which is hilarious given his...
I mean, look, I could imagine, if I say that out loud
but...
in a room full of women, they'll be like, get the fuck out of here, blah, blah, blah. But I've seen plenty of women openly admit
I've met
I would fuck him through the couch. Yeah.
I've met a bunch of grapers, and a bunch of them have girlfriends, and there's grapettes for whatever reason. It's really fucking weird that there are young anti-Semitic women. Because one of the reasons why
you're jealous?
become
You're
an
like, where were you when I was in high school?
Yes and no. One of the reasons why I became an internet far right winger is to get away from women. So it's kind of weird that you would have women show up to their graper meetups. I mean, he's a handsome guy. He's very charismatic, very hard driving. He's made good on himself. With Charlie Kirk killed, he is the de facto leader of the Young Republicans, even if they're in revolt against the broader party. Everything about him and Groypers reminds me a lot of, me in high school and everything.
You were just ahead of your time, man.
Yeah, it's true. And other people I know, like our Moldovan friends, same thing. And the other factor is that we're weirder than they are. It's because we were the forerunners.
No, they're weirder than you guys are because you guys could keep regular jobs. These people can't.
That's a good point.
They cannot. They can't work at a fucking car dealership. They can't fucking work at it as a manager at a Target. They can't fucking work at.
I will say that when I was working as a car salesman, I was in way over my head. I lasted a month, and even then, that's surprising. I was just bullshitting the entire way through.
Yeah, I think it's just once you get the sequence of events that leads to the final sale, and you get that commission into your account. That is when you get hooked. That's when you're like, whoa, that's it. I mean, realistically, it's like 8 hours of labor to make on a good day, fucking a few $1,000.
Yeah.
So that's not bad, but still, fucking A, that's a lot of.
I'm just not a very aggressive person, and I don't want to cultivate it for that kind of sales. The sales I do, I'm good at because people are coming in wanting to get drunk.
Well, then, I mean, see, I used to have a problem with sales. I used to hate it because I was introduced to it from a cold caller perspective, and selling a service / product that I just did not agree with. And, once I realized the best salesman in all the offices that I've worked at, the best salesman, it didn't matter what they were fucking selling. It didn't matter what they had in their bag. They would have just fucking sold it. Whether they worked in some securities firm, whether they worked in venture capitalism, whether they worked in real estate, they would have been given something probably shitty, and they would have dressed it up as the best thing you could ever possibly fucking dump your money into. And that's the mark of a good salesman, which is a problem to me ethically, because being a good salesman doesn't mean you're really trying to help people. Being a good salesman means you're trying to get your fucking nut. Yeah. You're trying to get that rip. You're trying to get that commission, and you're trying to get the origination fee, and you're trying to get an extra service fee on top of that for, for all the little fucking palms you had to grease on the way. So yeah, the sales angle, I respect it because I understand if you look at it systematically, you don't have to take it so personally. It doesn't have to be such a personal thing. It's a lot like acting, you could, if you're an actor and you don't believe in being a Nazi, but you're one of your greatest roles ever could be as a Nazi. It doesn't really say anything against you as a person. If anything, it's very admirable of you as a professional actor to be able to adopt a character so convincingly that you fundamentally would disagree with in real life. That to me is the mark of someone who understands how to adopt psychological archetypes on such an intimate and deep level where it's not just actors who do it, it's also spies and salesmen, salesmen.
It's interesting actually this connects to Fuentes again. I was going to say, I feel like part of what he did was he found a market.
Yeah. And filled
it. And also, he probably maybe it was something he did subconsciously or just fell into. Maybe it was something he very contrived. And also, there's all stuff he started at 18, 19. He's very much a youthful early starter. All the cliches about internet white nationalists that none of them are white. I mean, he's a white Mexican. A lot of them are gay, and if they're not gay, they're dating a woman of color. Because he's definitely gay. He fits into that archetype. He's not a Jew, which is the other thing. A lot of internet white nationalists are Jews or half Jewish. And I don't know if this is a demographic factor of just there being less people who are, a lot of internet white nationalists are Ashkenazi or half Ashkenazi. And I don't know if it's a demographic factor that there just aren't as many around. But you look at an older generation like Bronze Age Pervert or Mensis Moldbug. In both cases, those guys are half Ashkenazi.
So they're just using stolen valor.
Mm.
I think the Jews are like that too. Like, yeah, you're deep and untainted line to the line of Shem. Like, give me a break. You know how fucking like tainted that is with all sorts of weird genetic anomalies.
Well, a lot of them will say that themselves.
Like Korean, like my grandmother tried to convince me, you should marry a Korean girl to keep your bloodline pure. I'm like, pure? I'm sorry. Have you ever heard of the Mongolian invasion? You think they weren't raping Korean women left and right? Well, it's probably Chinese, Japanese. Like,
thing with that kind of thing is that you can have an invasion with a whole bunch of rape, and like the genetic impact wears off after no, it does. Come on, man. Like most Hungarians are not that.
You can't breed that shit out. So that doesn't wash like that. I don't think so. I don't think that washes in like even like 10 generations.
If like, I don't know, let's say, let me stop and think. Let's say that a fourth, or let's say half of the births are rape babies, which is probably more than actually was.
So let me ask
You're not having a continual influx of that population. It's going to get not partially drowned out by the people that are already there.
All right, so let me ask you a question. When it comes to like our previous arguments, our spirited debates about like the status of Jewish as an ethnicity, like, do you think it would be because like we both, I agree that at one point in time there was probably like a direct genetic pool, like a isolated genetic pool that was probably considered like the originators of the Jewish way of life and also like a singular ethnic group. Do you think it would be possible to reverse back to that ethnic group? You know, to like start breeding out.
But like what, through a eugenics project, recreate Iron Age people from the Levant? No. Well, I put those
like Neanderthals. Is it possible to breed out the humans? You just bring back more Neanderthal traits?
No, it's just too small. And even then, I mean, selective breeding, and even with selective breeding, you're not breeding it out. You're creating a new population that's been selected for with those characteristics. Let's look at, say, the Amish, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Amish are overwhelmingly people from a few areas of Germany and Switzerland. And because it's been so long, like they basically stay within the group. If you go on Rumspringa and you don't come back, you leave the population. The Amish, genetically, they're pretty inbred, but they're still pretty similar to like rural Germans from like southern Germany on the border with Switzerland, which is where like one of the originating populations of them. Like, no matter who immigrates into Pennsylvania, the Amish aren't having kids with them. They're having kids with each other.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense, yeah.
Are the Amish, Amish have been in America for a long time. They're very distinct culturally.
Is their population growing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Continually growing, yeah.
Is it growing more than the Mormons?
Yes.
You think so?
I think so, because
I don't think
Mormons...
So. I think Mormons
have had a lot of lossage as of late.
Maybe.
Because, I mean, Mormons also get converts, too, so they do have new people coming in.
They're like Jews, almost.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Mormons basically reinvented Judaism or Islam
to
for first principles.
Yeah.
And, like, Mormon population, they're pretty English. They're, like, English and German heavily. There's a bunch of other things they'll mix in, but, like, they're pretty much descended from the people that went out west in the mid-19th century. I will say, from having met ex-Mormons, ex-Mormons, there's probably a couple of different types. The types I've met have either been guys that were like in the military or something, kind of like nerdy guys, and they're still kind of like restrained guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll be like, dude, I had 5 beers last night. And I'll be like, yeah, so? And they'll be like, I was trash. I'm like, No, I mean, cool, good for you.
Yeah, but I know like a couple dudes who come from Mormon families, and some of them came, some of them have traveled the world, and some of them have had sex and done drugs, and
They do that. I'm not denying that they travel the world. If anything, it's noteworthy that almost all of them are world travelers because of their missionary work. Certainly the men.
yeah.
A lot of them are like they become like very Reddit. Even they're actually kind of Reddit, even when they're still religious. It's actually an interesting factor about Mormons is that they can be very religious. They're very religious and they love Josh Whedon. Because for whatever cultural reason, that's like an acceptable cultural thing that they can be into.
I mean, what I've noticed about Mormons is that they seem to gain a lot of benefits of following the ways of Christ, of Jesus Christ, but without all the baggage of, say, like classic Christian sects or like the Catholic Church. The Mormons seem to get a lot of benefits, like
They really do.
living a more chaste, self-respected, dignified life. And they seem to be less about like focusing on the institution as opposed to being really more focused on like following the path. That's what I've noticed anyway.
Yeah. They're admirable people. It's an entire state of Ned Flanders, golden age of Ned Flanders.
Yeah, but then they have that polygamy stuff, and
They stopped doing that in the 19th century.
well, yeah, because that was probably like not.
One of the defining features of Mormons, in my experience, is that they're desperate to be accepted by normal Americans. They're desperate to, like, they're always good natured about jokes about them. And they're always like 50, 60, 70 years out of date with what is like socially acceptable for Americans. But they're desperate to be accepted.
I don't know. All the Mormons I know are also like very well educated.
They are, yeah.
Like they know all sorts of things about literature, art, cinema. If anything, it's my closest Mormon friend who I met recently, Andreas. He was the one who was getting me. He's the one who got me into like a bunch of like weird shit, in terms of movies. You did too a couple of times, but for him, he's just from California. It's just a vastly different perspective from mine.
I'm sure there's subtypes of Mormons that vary with it, but yeah, I know I like them as a group. I can never be a Mormon because I like drinking too much, but I like coffee and nicotine. But they're very nice people.
Yeah.
Also, if the American government collapses, we have a post-apocalyptic scenario. The first functioning state to emerge in America will be Deseret. And it will immediately form because to this day, Mormons are all ready to have a breakaway country. Which would also, frankly, be very American because they religiously believe that they're meant to be the saviors of America. That's another interesting factor. This is a distinctly American religion.
Well, we could also expect like a lot of Jews to just run away to Israel in the near future, as the Mormons keep growing. Because the Jews themselves, like, honestly, I don't see, like, I'm sorry to say this, but I don't see the anti-Semitism going down. I don't see any kind of logical pressure valve. Because as like things, it's on every single level. On a political level, there's the whole like geopolitical state of like.
I think I sent you a tweet that actually summarized this very well about like what are the factors involved. I'm gonna look for it. Just keep talking. I want to send this to you quickly or I'll read it out loud because the person argued it very well.
Well, I'm just thinking. Eventually the only quote unquote Jews that are going to be left behind in America who are going to be the ones who say like, I'm not even Jewish, that I'm just a secular Jew.
Yeah, it's already a huge number of them. So there's a bunch of religious ones, but
even the religious ones are eventually going to be like, I'm not fucking sticking around this place. Everyone wants to kill me. Kanye West just released a song, his biggest song ever, called Heil Hitler.
Yeah.
That really was his biggest song of 2025.
Well, 25, yeah, it's the only thing he released, yeah.
No, he also released I Gave My Cousin Head or some shit.
Yeah, Cousins, yeah. The fuck, I'm gonna spend too much time looking. Well, look, the big factors with it are let's see, declining relevance of the Holocaust and the sympathy that that it engendered, an epistemic environment induced by the internet, which lends itself to conspiracy, which lends itself to vitriol, the paranoia and neurosis of Jews to be like so desperate to hide things, cover things up, and also to be very sensitive. I'm thinking of something our Moldovan friend said once, where he said, David Icke literally does think reptilian humanoid shapeshifters are out there eating babies. And Jews are so self-loathing and neurotic that they hear them, they say, wow, you're talking about us, aren't you? And he's 100% on point with that dynamic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it's like I feel like I'm onto something, a new kind of thing though, where it's like finally I think I just want to present the Jews with like something other than hatred. And I want to present like the people who hate you something other than hating Jews. You know, it's just like consider this. Maybe they're not really an ethnicity. You know, and to Jews they hear that and it's like it doesn't give them what they want, which is just the vindicated victim status but conquered like David versus Goliath shit. But at the same time, you don't hate on them anymore because it's like, oh, this whole time I thought you were like a black people or like the Chinese. Turns out you're just like white people and brown people and all those different kinds of people just following this one insane way of life. So you know, like, no matter even if we killed all of you, some other person would adopt your kooky Jewish ideas and become Jews. So it's kind of redundant.
To be fair,
we should just let you guys.
Modern anti-Semitism is mostly a hatred of Ashkenazi. I know I've said this before. That, like, look, the Holocaust
that's the next
was
problem.
bad.
That's the next problem I have to figure out because, like, if we can finally agree that. It's not all the Jews you actually hate. It's actually the specific.
That's actually interesting. I'm always curious. I should actually ask this: how many neo-Nazis have like no beef whatsoever with Mizrahi?
I don't think they would. If you presented them with like a brown Jewish person from Syria or some shit, they probably wouldn't see them as like that Jewish. You know?
Yeah. Now it's interesting. Side note on the Israel matter. As I've said before, the brown Jews from Syria, those are the biggest right-wingers in Israel.
Of course, 100%.
Like, because they got kicked out of Iraq, Persia, Syria, Egypt, Morocco. Morocco's actually Sephardi, but I'll get to that, you know, whatever. So they're the ones that really fucking want to kill Palestinians. This is also a dynamic that lefties ignore or elide, where lefties act like every single Jew
is a kind-hearted.
No, they act like they have like a 19th century caricature of like a European colonialist, and they act like every single Israeli is blonde and blue-eyed, when actually, you know, half of them, and it's the more right-wing half for the most part, are guys that are just like people from the Middle East. In fact, the few lefties that exist in Israel, they're all super white. I had an interaction like last year where I met up with a friend of mine. He had a bunch of friends over, and he had two Israeli friends. One guy was blonde, blue-eyed, curly hair. Other guy, you know, just looked very Arab. And I was told, like, oh yeah, they've been fighting. They're both Israelis, and they've been fighting about politics.
Well,
I immediately pointed at the white guy and said, "You're a liberal." And I pointed at the brown guy and I was like, "You're a conservative."
Yeah,
and I was exactly right.
So it's just funny though. It's like basically the Ashkenazi Jews who all these like anti-Semites actually hate.
Yeah,
they're all hiding behind like a wave of non-Ashkenazi Jews. You know, and they're getting lost in that crowd. So it's like if you target me, you target all of us. And
in part, yeah. In part, I will say that dynamic within Israel is ignored or not known. Like,
because either way, whether you hate them or are one of them, you're gonna see it as like so, you know, like polarized like that. It's like
I will say, like, I've met plenty of anti-Israel Jews. When I mentioned this, you know, the right-wing Israelis are brown guys. They deny it. Or even if they know, they're like, I don't want to have this conversation. They want to make it about European imperialism in general or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've had interactions where they're like, I don't care, or they dodge it. And I say, like, I'm like, okay, but like the actual population of Israel, like 40% are people from the Middle East. And they're the really right, like, there's a minority of right-wing Ashkenazi there, but like the really hardcore guys are overwhelmingly people from the Middle East who want revenge for being kicked out of Iraq, Persia, Egypt, Morocco, etc.
Yeah. They have a chip on their shoulder as Jews.
Yeah,
as
and the
Jews.
European Jews, for the most part, don't actually are more likely to feel white guilt, but they also feel a bunch of them will say like,
You're making us look bad.
Yeah, yes, that's also another factor.
I don't want to say it like, but yeah, they're making you. It's like if I were one of those Ashkenazi Jews trying to be Israeli, I'm like, you guys are making us look bad. And this. But anyway, broadly speaking, with Israel, there's a right-wing take that's fallen. Stop it?
Yeah. There's a right-wing take that is like, this is a boomer con thing. It's the, vanguard against barbarism somehow. Like, Israel being there is preventing terrorists from coming to Europe, so they come there anyway. And there's a left-wing take that it's a satellite of American colonialism.
I was going to say America is the same way because, like, we have, for example, we have our libtards and our idiots in New York in a city like ours or LA. And then you got our redneck boys down in fucking Texas or South Carolina or Georgia. Those are the boys that you want defending our country. Those are the boys you want in the military fucking fighting like terrorists. You don't want people like us in there. Like, do you really want a military full of like us? It's like probably not. I don't think so. I think you'd rather have some fucking farm boy motherfucker, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks to put it that way because those farm boys deserve their own, options and choices in life. But hey, it is what it is, right?
I also want to be there often if they're coming from families
and playing Call of Duty and shit. But yeah, so in Israel, why is it any different? Yeah, like they got their own.
Just my understanding. I mean, I've never been there. My understanding is very like schematic or from the internet. Israel has its own dynamics, and people in America project their own thoughts onto it, their own expectations.
Well, I look at even if it is a country full of Jews, like not every single one of them is going to want to work in finance. Not every single one of them is going to want to work in real estate. Some of them are just going to I want to open up a cafe. I want to open up. I want to open up a nightclub. I want to open up a bar. I don't know if they're allowed bars actually. I want to open.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Whatever they want to do. I'm sure.
To my understanding, the ultra-Orthodox will be like, no bars in our neighborhood, and they'll like throw a fit. Yeah. And like, I think there's dynamics.
Sounds like Boston.
Yeah, there's dynamics where you have like a hipster neighborhood. It literally like Williamsburg. There's like the hipster Israeli neighborhood right next to the Hasidic neighborhood, and the Hasids will have their like organized to make sure that like a bar doesn't open up on the border of it. Whatever. I want to make the same dynamics here exist there.
I want to make a Netflix movie that takes place in like 2001 summer of 2001 and it's about this pub owner who has like and they've been there for years, but suddenly the whole neighborhood that the pub was on suddenly became Hasidic. And then he's like, I'm not fucking leaving my fucking bar, get the fuck out of here, my fucking father owned this pub, his fucking father owned this pub, and eventually he g's into like a turf war against the Hasids. Like,
I know things like that have happened and were happening. I know the whole dynamic in Williamsburg has been like that for 20 years.
How can I make the movie really funny though? I don't know. I mean, maybe make it so like the I don't know, make the Irish guy gay. That would make Netflix happy.
Doesn't seem like something that would go on Netflix, but yeah, just because I don't know the dynamic. Another thing is that it's not as strong as with blacks and a different dynamic, but secular like Ashkenazi are both hate and embarrassed by ultra-Orthodox, but they also are very uncomfortable. They're leery about people making fun of them that aren't Jewish. Just like how middle-class blacks will make fun of ghetto blacks all the time, but if you're not black and you start making fun of them, they get very defensive of them.
Well, yeah, because they probably know it first starts with jokes, then they push it and push it and push it. I mean, every minority group probably experience some form of that. But I mean, it is a mistake though. Like if you are dealing with like straight up like bigotry, like you got to walk this fine line of like not taking it, but also not being too reactionary about it. Yeah, because then you could cause a violent scene. So it's a tightrope that minorities have to kind of walk. For me, I'm not even saying like that was my experience. Yeah. Listen, I may be Asian in America, but I grew up in fucking New York City, for fuck's sake. Yeah. It's literally like even way before I was born, this city was packed out with slanted-eyed people like me. Yeah, you know, it's just true. It just is. It is what it is. I might as well be in some English-speaking Asian country like Hong Kong for what it's worth.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's either way, like whether it's you're a Jew or a black person, you probably have to deal with that. But I don't know. I mean, I still don't think like as annoying as that might be, I still don't think crashing out is the answer. And I don't think, I mean, you clearly can't take it because that's how you could end up like dead and lynched or some shit or robbed or taken advantage of. But like, at the same time, you can't crash out. Like I think that's like
very true. Another factor with anti-Semitism, I think I said this before. I don't have it fully framed. Liberal narratives of the past like 15 years have done a bunch of dancing around to say that it's impossible to be racist against whites. And, you know, yeah, blah, blah, prejudice, not racist, whatever. And, like, you know, they'll say, like, oh, it doesn't, like, past discrimination against, like, Irish or Italians doesn't last to the modern day, yada, yada, yada. However, there's always been a tightrope with Jews where Jews are implicitly seen as honorary people of color. I don't know if I'm correct in that, but I think that's true.
They just game their way into that shit. Like the record labels.
I mean, it's because of the Holocaust.
Like you remember that Sopranos line? It's like where the Jewish record owner guy in the crew, he was like, I produced 3 platinum albums. Like, no, you didn't. You paid a fucking couple of black kids from the street to make 3 albums, and you just put your name on it.
I produced it, which is a lot. But yeah. And I think that uneasiness of it, and also the fact that, frankly, you know, Jews in America, like 80%, 70% vote Democrat and are big donors to the Democrat Party. Probably has this like underlying.
Look, as far as the anti-Semitism in America is concerned, because in the rest of the world it's probably vastly different.
Vastly worse in a lot of places, yeah.
But in America, I'll say this much: the only thing the Jews really did wrong was they got caught being good businessmen. Because when you're a good businessman, you're probably somewhat on some level a scumbag. That's the whole thing. Like. At this point, it's not I don't think the hardest part is making money anymore for me. It's now the hardest part is making more money in a way that's not selling my soul in the process. Yeah. Because I know I can make a fucking huge amount of money if I just did whatever sociopathic cockamamie fucking plan I think of that just steps on whoever and takes advantage of whoever. I could probably get there because I've seen enough people do it. I know how to do it. I know who you have to know. I know who you have to use, and I know how you have to use them. And I know how you have to get them under your. And I don't want to do that shit. I feel like that shit's bad. I've seen what happens to people who do that shit. It's been done to me, and I was able to take it because I don't know. I guess my innate ability to be a good wage slave was able to back it up. Yeah. You know, being a good bean counter, I guess. As all Asians, as a good Asian would be. But like, you know, despite that, like, I don't think I've ever wanted that for myself, despite how simple the path seems, because it's not good. It doesn't lead anywhere. Even the women you end up banging, they're like also kind of like, I mean,
how much of anti-Semitism in America is that? And how much of it is internet-induced memes? How much of anti-Semitism is like being trans or anorexic, where you're being a cutter? For women, you know, anorexia,
as opposed to being like a real victim, like divorce raped by like Jews, pretty much,
right?
Or actually,
how many people that hate the Jews online actually, even if they've had interactions with Jews or met Jews, how much of it is? I don't think it very much is like, oh, my business got screwed over, but like that was the case in like 19th century Germany.
All right, so I know
like,
you're asking.
I genuinely think most anti-Semitism in America today is the equivalent of becoming anorexic, a cutter, or trans because you read about it online.
Yeah. So personally, in my experience, the people, I mean, in the industry that I've worked in, especially, like I've worked in many merchant cash advance shops just as a paper pusher because I'm good at it. I'm good at like shifting documents. I'm good at sending documents to where they're supposed to go. And because like I was able to see like the worst deals get signed, and I've seen the best deals get signed. But usually they were like pretty awful, and they were just good enough to make principal, and anything after that, principal very quickly, and good enough to make profit for the lenders afterwards. And I always thought it was a dirty business, and I was like, well, thank God it's not my money. I'd be pulling my hair out risking that shit. But anyway, they were able to do it in a way to just do jacked up rates at super high, super low
interest,
super low time frames. So really high interest rates, just super short spans of time. So not only do you have very little time to pay it back, but it's very expensive. So that's how they pretty much always were able to kind of like make a chunk of profit every deal. Now, the people, in my opinion, that got the most fucked over by Jews when I see shit like that, they don't even know it's by quote unquote the Jews.
Yeah.
Like, they wouldn't know that an office like mine is primarily Orthodox Jewish run, for example. Like they wouldn't know that. To them, it's just, these fucking New York money guys. I think now it's changing though. I think now people are starting to realize like, who are these companies? Like, but then the problem is not just Jews. The Jews are doing it, are scamming business owners. They're not really scamming you. They're just fucking you over. They're taking you to the cleaners. They're pretty much just doing some predatory lending, legal predatory lending. However, once you try to point fingers at them, suddenly the Chinese scammers, you could point at them. It's like, dude, you know how much they're fucking getting?
Yeah.
You know how much these Indian scammers are getting? Like, you think these Jewish?
There's a lot of different scammers.
Yeah, you think these Jewish predatory lenders are bad? Oh, buddy, you have no idea who else is fucking like operating out there every single day.
Okay. How many anti-Semites have you met? Like roughly, have you met a bunch? I have because of being an online guy.
Living in New York, interacting with normal people outside of like Sovereign House.
Yeah.
Not many.
Yeah.
Normal people aren't anti-Semitic.
Yeah, they're not. It's an internet-driven phenomena, which is why I'm coming back to my statement about my hypothesis that much anti-Semitism we're allegedly seeing, like Nick Fuentes, is an internet phenomena.
Yeah, but what difference does it make if like the geopolitical events are just vindicating them nonstop?
The pertinence, first off, is how serious it is when you see Jews freaking out like anti-Semitism is on the rise because of internet posts and because of vandalism and because occasionally a schizo shoots up a synagogue. It is not part of the broader cultural norm of America. It's not like we are Europe in the 19th century where it was widespread. The significance is like, how significant of a phenomena is this?
I don't know if I was going to pull up this video. Fuck it, why not? I'll do it. So yeah, I mean, it's funny you asked that. Like, have I seen?
And I feel like there's also a thing where Jewish paranoia, neurosis, like, does not avoids this kind of take. Oh yeah, this video. Yeah, play
I was born Hasidic Jew, and then I converted to Islam because Jews are faggots. I am a Jewish Hasidic Jew, and I'm gonna tell you right now, alhamdulillah, I'm a faggot ass nigga. That's why I converted to Islam. Blessed be to Muhammad. Fuck the Jews!
Damn.
I was born.
So look, this guy's a hotep. He's, a black conspiracy guy. This has always been a trend. There's always been a trend in like American anti-Semitism where for like a separate reason related to Nation of Islam, probably related to a bunch of blacks having asshole Jewish landlords in the early 20th century through mid 20th century, coming into conflict, both living in New York City. That's like a separate.
Oh, so you're saying that's just an exception to the rule of the norm? That's just another kooky like subgenre of society of New York.
Well, let me put it this way: normal people, as we said before, don't hate Jews. For a long time, basically, a bunch of fringe weirdos, black nationalists, white nationalists, and Islamists have hated Jews. there's probably like a broad increase of that, particularly among like the white nationalist group, which now is a multiracial white nationalist. But like this is like,
I mean, now like most normal people that I see coming anything close to anti-Semitic, like even as I'm playing around with being edgy, like they're just running off the news cycles. They're just looking at what Israel is doing, and they're looking at all, and that's also kind of has to do with the memes, like which also connects to the noticing.
Yeah. And Israel conflates, criticism in Israel with broader anti-Semitism, and they go hand in hand. Blah, blah, blah.
I never hated Jews, but it's like I always when I was like, because I hung out with Jay Sans and them, like we can discuss politics. Like a lot of them were anti-Semitic.
Yeah, and for them, it really is an internet brainworm. Do you think I'm wrong in that assessment?
Internet brainworm, as in like none of them really did any worthwhile research into the subject, or
it's a meme that they picked up that got into their head.
Do you think there's any aspect of anti-Semitism that their anti-Semitism, that kind, that you actually agree with?
Yes, but some of the criticism of Israel, criticism of Jews for being very liberal, criticism for being touchy and annoying. But when they're getting they're sort of like rediscovering this political tack that is not relevant. Henry Ford hated Jews, I think, probably because of personal business dealings, and he tried to bring a European-style anti-Semitism here, and it did not.
Well, how much do you know about what Jews actually believe in, like in terms of their religious doctrine?
I think I know an okay amount, but like,
have you've read you've read the Old Testament, right?
Yeah, most of the Jews I've met are secular Jews, are liberal secular Jews.
Yeah, but you don't think like the religious doctrine has any bearing on like their mannerisms, their way of life, their history, their cultural development? Like, I think it has a huge impact, even if they are secular Jews. Like
it does, and it probably is a little bit more than like effectively secular Catholics. Probably definitely more.
I'm sick and tired of hearing these terms like secular Jews and secular Catholics. It's like, it's not real. Like,
okay, someone that was raised that and then stopped practicing.
Because like it's very appealing, I think, to certain people where it's like, oh, you're telling me I could be Catholic or I could be Jewish without having to be Catholic or Jewish. Like,
well, how else do you? Okay,
it's like that's just like one of these.
Okay,
like, okay,
just say lapsed. Then does that make it easier if I say lapsed Catholic, lapsed Jew?
But that's under the assumption that you did practice at one point sincerely, so you at least
that's
know.
Fair. A lot of them is more like their parents did.
Yeah. So that's not a lapse. That's more like you don't even know what you're rejecting. You never lived it. You never experienced it.
That's fair. It's probably more that it's just the cultural background.
But you can't expect people to experience real spiritual events unless like, to me it's like I think the realest spiritual events come from like fucked up people. Like I used to be an addict, I used to be an alcoholic, like I used to be a sexual predator, I used to be a wife beater, I used to be a I used to be a con man, I used to be a kleptomaniac, whatever. Like those are the people where it's like if they find Jesus, because these are people who don't look to Jesus first. These are people who try everything else.
Yeah.
These are people who tried everything they possibly can get their hand. They tried medication. They tried therapy. They tried self-help. They tried gurus. They tried it all. And you don't really turn to God unless like it's your last fucking thing. Because your intellectual mind is too resilient. Your logos is too fucking like resilient. It's like, especially if you're a smart person.
I think also in the modern world, I think the same people, if they were living in the 17th century, would have turned to Christ a lot quicker.
Because there's less material things to pick up the slack. Like material frameworks and structures and medications and all this coping mechanisms. Yeah. So yeah, I think when it comes to like Jewishness, it really does it's important to keep the religious because that is the master key in Jewishness. It has nothing to do with culture. It has nothing to do with economy. I mean, yes, like a lot of their power is tangential to that. However, the master key to all of that is their religious doctrine. And
the economic stuff, right? Having like cartels where you favor other member of the ethnicity. That's a ton of ethnic groups do that. Yeah, we mentioned Jay before. He's Armenian. Armenians do that shit, albeit, they're not doing like payday loans or whatever. They're doing like rug businesses.
But they're not good at it, as the Jews are.
Yeah, they're a market-dominant minority. And it's interesting also, by the way, the Armenian genocide is very similar to the Holocaust. Well, it's similar to the Holocaust in being like a genocide that happened in the 20th century as part of a national project by the country they were in that discriminated against this group. I mean, the big difference is that the Armenian genocide was largely Turks and Kurds chimping out and like randomly killing and raping Armenians, whereas like the big factor of the Holocaust, why was it so bad? It wasn't ideology, it was because Germans were doing it. Like, every single German, I know you hate the word, every single German is autistic. They all love ideology. They love, like, throwing themselves wholeheartedly into something. And they're really anal and precise about everything. So when you tell a group of Germans you gotta kill all the Jews, they're really efficient with it in a way that if you're trying to rile up Russians or French to kill Jews, Russians will get too drunk. French will just want to start debating them or like fucking them. So like you bait, like the biggest factor with the Holocaust, and this is also elided or hidden by broader narratives where there's a desire to make it a universal crime or a crime that all whites engaged in, as opposed to being a particularity of the German character. The Holocaust is so bad, so many people died
because the Germans did it. Yeah, because they were so good at it.
Yeah. It's the same way that like you know what the most functioning communist state was? Take a guess.
China.
Well, nowadays, but I mean back during the Soviet days.
What?
East Germany.
Oh.
Germans, when you told them you're going to be communists now, they were like, Russians would slack off in the factory saying this is gay and retarded. Germans, you would like not pay them and they would still work.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. I have my own beliefs about the German people. There's something strange about them, and I think it has something to do with aliens. But we don't have to get into that for this episode anyway. But yeah, I do think they have something going on, and it might be not just like alien, but it could be like divine. Something to do with like the pantheon of old, with like Odin and all that shit. Anyway, we can move on to the next topic. The next story was about the Minnesota fraud scandal.
Yeah.
Apparently this is a big deal, so we decided to look into it.
Nearly 100 Minnesota mayors are sounding the alarm over alleged fraud in their state, writing in a letter to Governor Tim Walz, quote, "Fraud, unchecked spending, and inconsistent fiscal management in St. Paul have trickled down to our cities, reducing our capacity to plan responsibly, maintain infrastructure, hire and retain employees, and sustain core services without overburdening local taxpayers." Now, the letter comes as feds say fraud could top $9 billion in the state, funds that were meant to go to a number of causes. Help feed children, help people recovering from addiction to find a place to live, help disabled adults live independently, and one-on-one therapy for autistic children. And yet, they allegedly ended up going to things like this: wire transfers to China and East Africa, luxury homes, vacations and vehicles, stacks of cash, and
stacks
jewelry.
Of cash? Give me them stacks. All right. So yeah, I don't know if it was in this video, but that we just saw, but I think like the GDP of what was it, Somalia?
Yeah,
was like 12 billion, and this whole fraud, this fraud on the Somalian end amounted to like 9 billion. So that's almost the entire GDP of the country.
Yeah.
And welcome back, everybody.
Somalia,
FBI Director Kash Patel responding to a viral video that has raised even more concerns about Minnesota's massive fraud scandal. The video showing misspelled signs, locked doors, empty classrooms even, at a Minneapolis daycare center. Now, the state allegedly has also given the center millions in funding. Connor Hansen, live in New York City with the latest on that for us. Hey, Connor.
Hi, Kevin. Well, for years now, there have been allegations of widespread fraud and investigations in Minnesota, but now there's even more scrutiny following a new video that's gone viral, coming from an independent journalist visiting daycare centers in the state that are receiving millions, apparently, in tax dollars with no signs of children there. Take a look.
Where are the kids at, man? He looks like a pedophile, to be honest. He's like with his sunglasses. He's like, hey, where are the kids at, man?
don't know.
Can I speak to someone?
No, I don't know.
No? Yeah, I would like to see if I can put my son Joey here.
You got any kids?
23-year-old journalist Nick Shirley visited one business that couldn't even spell
that's because
its name
you're around
correctly,
so many
with a
internet
sign
trolls.
saying
That's true. You're right.
Center
Like I
instead
look
of
at the guy
learning.
and it's like,
Some
okay,
had
this is
blacked out
half the
windows,
guys
and
at
most had
Sovereign House.
no signs of children there on a weekday.
Looking for
the viral
for
video
hearing
sparked
center.
a strong reaction from Vice President J.D. Vance, who wrote, "Politicians like it because they get power. Welfare cheats like it because they get rich. But it's a zero-sum game, and they're stealing both money and political power from Minnesotans."
Yep. So yeah, that's the situation right now in
Minnesota, yeah. So I know massive Somali fraud schemes because.
Wait, actually, I got another clip to play because
Yeah.
the internet right guy that you saw
Yeah.
before. This is the intro to his thing that was.
Hello, we'd like to ask where the money's going. What do you guys think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
I don't think anybody is enabling fraud to happen.
Hold Governor Walz accountable for this.
What was this money spent on?
Who will hold Governor Walz accountable for this?
1.26 million. What was that money spent on? There aren't any kids.
Answer the question. Are there children?
Kids, I'm starving.
There's no
Where are the
children inside
kids?
this building. Potentially the largest fraud scandal in U.S. history is taking place in Minnesota as literally billions of dollars have been funneled through Somali-ran fraudulent businesses. So much fraud, it could actually almost replace the entire GDP of Somalia. These fraudsters have worked hand in hand with the Minnesota government as they enabled billions of dollars to be given to fraudulent businesses underneath welfare purposes. Some of this money eventually landed in the hands of terrorist groups in Somalia like the Al-Shabaab, and others enriched themselves all at the U.S. taxpayers' expense. And in this video, we will break down all.
All right, so basically, if you ever wonder why like people in Somalia are poor, and you wonder how like those Somalian warlords could afford like fucking an entire zoo in their in the front yard of their mansion, their multi-story mansion, this is how. Like we pay for it.
Good part, yeah.
And when I say we, I mean Minnesota. The entire state of Minnesota just pays for.
Well, look, I mean the upper Midwest was settled by Germans and Scandinavians, actually left-leaning ones. There was a wave of attempted revolutions in the mid-19th century in the 1848 that got stomped out, particularly in Germany. And by liberal revolutions, I mean like they were trying roughly to be like France or like the United States. A lot of these people got kicked out of Germany, Europe, and fled to America. By the end of the Civil War, 10% of I think it was like 10% of the Union Army was German, and these guys unlike the Irish, they showed up wanting to free slaves because they were ideologically motivated. Mm-hmm. They ended up settling in like the Midwest, and they brought a similar like kind of communal sense of social democracy sentiment. You know, this is areas that like Bernie Sanders played very well in. So these areas have had a generous welfare system for a long time, and the local people were just not inclined to take advantage of it. You introduce Somalis as a super predator within this environment, and a mix of clannishness, scheming, what have you, allows them to take advantage of the benefits that were readily available that others wouldn't take advantage of or didn't know how to take advantage of. Maybe they weren't competent enough. Clearly, the Somalis are more competent in being able to organize in this regard. They're also in an area where, as I said, it was like welfare was generous and it wasn't gate kept very well. Other parts of the country, it would have been hard to pull off this kind of fraud just because there would be more hoops to jump through.
Yeah. I would read what CBS has to say about it, but it's pretty much just saying the same shit. It's basically some Somalian fraudsters.
Somalis, yeah.
Scammers are good for the economy, though. I mean, they keep circulating. They keep money in the circulation.
Right, if you keep circulating it, yeah. It's interesting because there's like a level of connection here with George Floyd. There is some conspiratorial material around it. Namely, like, I forget the exact details, but the bar that George Floyd and Derek Chauvin worked in as bouncers, El Novo Rodeo, Mexican bar, was being targeted for a money laundering bust. And there's definitely money counterfeiting in particular going on around it. It's interesting that George Floyd died with a phony $20 bill, trying to pass a phony $20 bill, when the place him and Derek both worked at was was involved in counterfeiting.
Maybe
and
it
there
was-
was a Somali criminal connection, but I forget what the exact details were.
Well, maybe it was a hit. Maybe Derek Chauvin was involved in some counterfeit money shit, and
I wouldn't be surprised, actually. I think it's actually well within the possibility. I do know that, and you can Google it and find it, there was a guy who
don't
worked
think
with
I
him.
haven't noticed you've been flirting more with conspiracy theories. Okay, I've noticed you kind of like edging with it. You know, like you're like,
I don't know if it's the material to talk about. I'll edge with that. And this is also
it's
to
a fair
be fair,
conspiracy, to be honest, because like yo, I
and
mean,
this is something
considering
I've mentioned before. This is a conspiracy that doesn't involve
the reptilians, like David Icke shit.
It doesn't involve the highest level of government. This is purely a local level conspiracy, even if it goes all the way to the top of state government. But even then, probably not. It's probably far more local criminal enterprises.
When
Unless
it comes
you
to,
don't think that's
no. I always look. I'm not a big skeptic when it comes to local conspiracies, because when it comes to localized conspiracies,
it's criminal stuff, right? Like fundamentally, when you think about
it's not always criminal. Sometimes it's very personal.
Yeah.
Because the thing about taboo, right? It's subjective. For example, the idea of blackmailing someone, like in the intelligence community, for example, let's keep it clinical. For the because many people blackmail others. Some religious institutions do it, cults do it, fucking school teachers do it, whatever. Like when it comes to blackmail, it's a very personal. It's like an art form, like torture.
Yeah.
Like one person's taboo is another person's like Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah.
For example, like you could make someone do something.
You used to be able to blackmail people off of them being gay, and now it's just
fine, post it. Be a scumbag.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh wow, you got a picture of me jerking off by hacking my webcam and I came all over my face. Oh no, like fucking release it. Be a dickhead then.
Yeah.
Fine. I would. You caught me doing what literally everyone in the world does. Okay.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit? You know. Yeah. I mean, personally, I'm glad we live in a world like that. I would rather live in a world like that than have your entire fucking dignity taken away from you just for, again, doing something that everyone really does, you know?
Well, the one counterpoint, and I don't think it actually makes up for it, is that previously blackmail rings probably would have just relied on like gay stuff, right? Whereas now it relies on child fucking. So when homophobia,
but just
is
because when homophobia was normal, that doesn't mean child fucking wasn't going on.
That's true.
They just had more scapegoats.
That's a good point. You're right. That there's just more ways of blackmailing people. It's not like they were focused solely on that. By contrast.
But now it's like, the only ones left are the. But notice how
like my tweet where I said that if you normalize pedophilia, then instead you'll just go to Minstrel Island instead of Little St. James Island to wear blackface.
No, I think it escalates. The evil escalates. If you haven't noticed, like first it's like, getting caught doing this. All the lesser evils have been already like socially policed.
Yeah.
Now it's like getting heavy. Now it's like, what? He's a what? He's a pedophile? Like he's a billionaire and a pedophile? Yeah, that's when it gets crazy. So I'm just gonna maybe move to the next topic. I hope I have. Oh yeah, this one's crazy. So there's this influencer online.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Clavicular.
Yeah.
And he recently got some heat because like he ran over a guy on video.
That's a fun way of putting it. He got some heat for killing a guy.
Yeah, but apparently the guy apparently the guy's not dead. And the guy he ran over like has been harassing him and stalking him all day and like pulled a gun on him and shit. So it's like this was from his like kick stream and he got kicked off the platform for this. He's like jumping on his car and shit. He immediately looks at the rear view to see the body. The girl's like whimpering. In the video, she was like, "Is he dead?" And he goes, "I hope so." Reports from Aiden Ross, a close associate of Clavicular, and other sources have confirmed that the individual who was struck by the Tesla Cybertruck is alive and receiving medical treatment. The incident, which was live streamed on December 24th, 2025 in Miami, involved a person described as a stalker who jumped onto the hood of Clavicular's vehicle. Clavicular drove off and the person fell off and was struck. Clavicular was later questioned by Miami police but released without charges, as the incident was reportedly determined to fall under self-defense circumstances.
God bless Florida.
He was subsequently banned from the streaming platform Kick. And this is the cop like just hearing this story like, "You did what, kid?" Like
I'm sure the cop was pretty
jazzed. He was like, "Yo, good job, man."
I mean, the cop probably doesn't know who he is and is saying like, okay, so this guy's stalking you and you ran him over with your car. Cool.
He's got an M4 strapped to him. Shit.
Yeah, I guess.
Or an AR, I should say. This is his mugshot.
Yeah.
Apparently, he spent like thousands of dollars on his face because he's like a looks maxer.
Okay.
Online. Oh, this is a fun little snippet from tape that he posted. He was like, "Play stupid games, win stupid prizes." It shows him running over the guy in a fucking... And Asmongold, like, straight up endorsed this. He was like, yes, this is so unfathomably based. I want to live in a world where you could do this.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's fair enough. Some people might feel that way. It's fine. I personally like to err on the side of restraint, but, you know, everyone's different. Everyone can do it their way. And just to kind of, like, show what this guy... Like, just show how into, like, looks maxing and Mog obsessed he is.
Yeah, but I mean, like, this next election cycle, who's going to win? It's going to be Gavin Newsom against J.D. Vance because J.D. Vance is subhuman and Gavin Newsom mugs.
J.D. Vance is subhuman?
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
He's got a very short total facial width to height ratio. He's obese, very recessed side profile.
Straight face.
Whereas Newsom is like 6'3" Chad.
So JD's very tall. JD's got to be.
Well, still,
6'2",
I mean,
6'3".
Gavin Newsom obviously mogs him to death.
So you're a Newsom head. You prefer Newsom to the vice president.
I'm just telling you who's going to win.
Do you prefer him though?
Honestly, it's hard to say, but Newsom being that much more of a mogger and like having
so
a
much
president
sexier,
who's,
man. Can't you
like,
see
fat, and especially that young.
You think he's? I don't think he's fat.
I would say
he's a bigger guy for sure.
It's just like it's just embarrassing. Like, how are you fat and you expect to like lead a country? You can't even.
I gotta say, this is like the gayest thing I've ever fucking heard. Like,
okay.
Straight
so like,
up,
look,
like
he's doing a. I don't know how sincere he is. I'm sure it's a mix of sincerity. Probably started off more as a bit and became more sincere over time.
dude, no, I think
but the way
he spent like thousands of dollars. Like, we're talking 5 figures.
Yeah, he's a vain guy who got a brainworm by incel memes. He's doing a whole incel bit.
He got
on front of the camera. What?
He got blackpilled.
Yeah, he has made himself into. I'm sure what he's. I don't know him very well. I don't know him at all prior to this. That like what he's an influencer, he's a streamer, whatever. Like listening to him talk, he has the unrehearsed, awkward quality of internet guy who gets in front of a camera at a public event. And I'm speaking from personal experience. Like his hesitancy, his uncertainties, because he's really a normal guy. He's not as deranged as he's presenting himself by text or when he has a rehearsed.
But I mean, he just ran over. He just ran over some fucking guy.
Yeah, he ran over a stalker, which in and of itself is his own dynamic. See if this makes sense.
He's clearly obsessed with image. Like, he probably posts mad videos and pictures.
Yeah, he does, obviously. He's incredibly vain. He's young. He's handsome. Probably was handsome before plastic surgery. He's very feminine. It's very feminine, actually. Like I was gonna say, if he was born,
it's like the gayest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah,
like, you don't
look. If he was born, I don't know what he looked like prior to plastic surgery, but I'm sure he was still a good-looking guy. And I'm sure if he had been born 10, 15 years earlier, he just would have been a normal guy. Instead, he has a way of getting fame and recognition by doing this bit, right?
Mogging.
Mogging,
yeah.
He's doing this. I'm going to go in front of the camera being a good-looking guy and then do a bunch of incel shit and use incel terminology. It's like,
yeah, but
I mean, it's already been mainstreamed anyway, but that's like...
Has it been mainstreamed?
I think so. I think a bunch. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe it's not. But it feels like it's.
I think you are. I don't think mainstream normal people like know about mogging. You know, and like the fact that they're talking like having a serious.
I feel like Zoomers probably do just because almost every Zoomer is extremely online. Like there's not the same dynamic as with our generation.
Yeah.
Like a lot of Zoomers, normie Zoomers, are culturally Chanish in a way that normies of our generation weren't.
There's nothing fucking novel about it though. Like,
No.
seriously, like you look at like a fucking 90s high school and it's just like, oh, we're the cheerleaders, we're the mean girls, look at those bitches, they're ugly. It's like, yeah, we're the dudes, like we're the Jakes, we're the Chads. Like, we
How
play
much did
football.
people actually do that at the time, and how much of it was a media creation? And even then, even if they were doing it, were they doing it as self-consciously as he is?
They only did it. They did those things more in culturally homogenized areas.
Right.
So if you look
they
at
probably were doing it without saying it and without being as self-aware of it.
But now
whereas this is purely, I mean, look, this guy's really probably like a nerd.
Look, the fact that like it's one thing if it's like white teenagers in California like subscribing to this kind of shit. It's like, yeah, fine, okay. But once it gets to like, I don't know, like young Black and Latino kids or like Chinese kids in like the East Coast, then it's like, all right, this is a little weird, you know? Then it's like,
yeah, I agree. I mean, it's downstream of like the mainstreaming of Channer culture, right?
Or pickup art.
Yeah, same thing. And you know, I'm thinking of a former coworker who's a very normal guy, very sweet Latino kid. He's a little bit online. I think he actually kind of outgrew it because he has a girlfriend, but he's more online. Like, I never met someone who was only a little online when I was younger. You either had no idea or you were very online.
Well, in New York, there's a lot to do.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very good point. There's a lot of other things to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, but, you know, I'm Sam Hyde fan, but not like a mega fan. He would tell me like, I'm casually watching Fish Tank or whatever.
Yeah.
They're like, that dynamic's a lot more common than when we were young, when people were either very online or not at all.
Well, now people are buying their daily groceries online.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, by nature, everything. And a lot of things have diffused the broad culture. There's a bunch of, terminology that's used now in common parlance that
the difference is people
just obscured.
I mean, the difference is now like retards are making money online, and that's the big difference.
Mm-hmm.
That's how a thing becomes mainstream, is how profitable it is on the open market. So it's like, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, that's to me is you got to follow the money. If you want to and it's sad because like there's so much to dig into with all culture, especially online culture. But when you really dig into the mainstream facet of it, it's just why? It's because it makes money. And if you follow the money and you realize what about it is profitable, but then it gets interesting because then you realize attention is a resource. Attention is like our fucking chi, is our directed mana. Whatever you pay attention to grows. Whether it's like physics, whether it's celebrity gossip, whether it's anime, whether it's porn, that's going to grow in your reality. So your attention is a lot more precious commodity than you're conditioned to believe, is a lot more precious commodity. And the fact that they try to downplay it and the fact that they try to whore it out, make you whore it out to any buyer, it's like, it's fucked up.
Yeah.
So that's what I see when it comes to all of this. It's
let me say something else here too, if I'm not distracted too much from it. I don't know the dynamic of his stalker, but I'm sure his stalker is part, like, you know, you see the video footage and he's doing I'm an insane psycho routine. Maybe the guy's really that deranged, but even that video I saw, it looked contrived. Do you think that's wrong? That's a wrong assessment?
That it was staged?
That clavicular, whatever, didn't know or expect that guy to be there. It's not staged in that respect, but the stalker is doing a performance.
Sure, everyone.
Can you play the video again? I was gonna say, like, now I'm reading too much of that video.
Yeah, I know. Like, yeah, it's like, oh, I'm gonna just do this for likes and clout.
Like, look at the guy's face. He's recording while he's doing it. Full screen this. Like, look, the guy's, you know, he's sticking out his tongue. He's jumping up and down. He has his camera. The stalker is doing a bit. Like, he is not a genuinely crazy guy. I'm sure he's mentally ill to some degree. But clearly his phone's out. He's like, he's doing something. It's like the way he's behaving is exactly the way you behave if you're at a pop punk show.
Sure, yeah.
Like, and if anything, being hit by the car was something he didn't expect to happen.
But so what if he's doing a bit? And he's still pulling out a gun like in front of someone.
No,
like,
I know, that's
like
true.
brandishing a firearm and then jumping on their car. Like it doesn't matter if you're doing a bit at that point.
That's true, and that's
people
the
get
thing.
shot for less.
Yeah, I wonder. The stalker probably did not expect him to run him over because he was thinking this is still playtime. Nothing serious can happen. And there's plenty of interactions like this. You see this in protests, once again, with automobiles, where people are like rushing a car, and then the car drives through the crowd, and the crowd is like, how could he do that? I wasn't expecting that. Like they seemed genuinely surprised. And I'm sure that guy was genuinely surprised that he just accelerated and hit him.
Yeah. And ran him over.
Like, there's a lot of things in our society. I don't have a full definition of this. We should expand this into another segment if you have the time. Everyone is simultaneously living most of their life online. A lot of people are living their life mostly online, concerned with online things, thinking online thoughts, cultural milieus. You're engaged in behavior to impress people online or to impress other people you know in your life who are online type people, while also constantly saying it's just the internet, it's not real life.
Let me ask something. Why is that a problem?
Because people, I'm not opposed to people being that online because I'm extremely online. You should be more sincere and say, yeah, this is my life and reappraise things.
Why?
Stop assuming.
Why can't you play a character online? Like, why not?
You can. Perfectly, I do. Everyone does.
then
And people just bleeds over to real life.
So then, like, what you're describing as if it's like a negative thing. Like, what's so bad about it?
The negative part is not fully embracing it. I don't think like they're getting caught unaware. If you're doing this performance, either expect to get hit by the car or to pull back before that point because you should realize it's a possibility. It's like
what if
when you're in that moment jumping on the car.
What if that guy actually knew he could have gotten run over? But
he might have actually. Yeah, that's a fair point.
Maybe he did.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Because it was worth it to him. All those followers, all those likes, all that revenue. Maybe that was.
That's a very good point. In fact, maybe that is actually the bigger factor. Maybe he was actually hoping for it.
I did say follow the money.
Yeah,
that's why it makes sense. Like people will, if I see, because
it doesn't even have to be the money itself. The money helps. It could also just be follow. Humans are social animals, and like social media has a directly gameable, directly quantifiable way of showing how much attention you're getting.
And what does that give you? What does money give you?
No, social status.
What does that give you?
Live yourself.
What does that give you?
What?
Safety,
security. Okay,
that's ultimately why we do all this ridiculous shit, and people just forget that because their ego kicks in, and they're like, "I do this because I'm the only one who could do this because I'm the shit. That's why I do this because this is who I am, what I do." But really, we just can't forget. Like you say you want us to be sincere and embrace it. This is what it means: is to admit that we all fucking do this shit to feel safe. To make us feel safe. Some of us do this to want to make us feel in control because that makes us feel safe. Some of us want to do this so it can make us feel more honest with ourselves because it makes us feel safe to be honest with ourselves. For some of us, it could be so that like I just want to be around people who accept the real me and who I really am, so they could feel safe. It's all just for security. It's all just to make people feel safe because the ego necessitates security.
I think the ego can also necessitate. Attention.
For the sake of security, safety. Bring your attention to this problem or this perceived problem. So that's why I don't see it as a problem, like people being performative.
Let me ask you this. I don't know the exact money, and it's probably like a tipping point, but let's say I gave you an option between, it's not a great example, whatever. Between, like, I'll give you $10,000 or you'll have a funny line in a viral video that will get shared for one day.
Wait, what?
Like, I can guarantee you'll be in some circumstance where you're filmed, you get on a viral video, it gets a couple million views. You're not Hawk to a level, but I don't know, you're able to be a personality on a short film.
If you're offering 10 grand over social media clout, yeah, give me the 10 grand.
Fair. How many people do you think would rather like to be a celebrity for a day? Maybe I'm totally wrong.
People who are already rich. People who already have money, more than 10 grand.
I would take the cloud for a day over 10 grand.
That's fine.
Maybe it's stupid of me, and maybe
Not
it just
really.
speaks
I
to
mean,
my character.
look, no.
But I would love to be able to point to this and say, if it wasn't something embarrassing, if it was like, yeah, I don't know, some situation happens, and I'm perfectly on camera saying a off-the-cuff funny line, I would prefer that, even if it was just this totally temporary thing.
Cool.
Totally ephemeral. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like there's a lot of people like me who would see it as a huge benefit to be in like a viral video without anything except clout from it.
Why?
Because it's like a high social achievement, even if it's not something you're doing directly.
I mean, what does that amount to ultimately?
It would be a story I could tell for the rest of my life and directly show.
What, that people knew who I was for like
a day.
A day, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
The social benefits, a lot of people generally be, oh, that's really cool. And it wouldn't amount to much. I bet you probably would have downstream social effects. Wherein, like, you know, I don't know, I show it to someone at work, you know, some 60-year-old guy at work, and he's totally impressed with it. And if I was single, maybe I could get laid off of it a few times or whatever. But I think I would enjoy it on a purely psychological level to say that I was a somebody for one day.
Yeah, what does that amount to though?
Not much.
I mean, like really, I think the people who could get pussy off of like that flavor of thing, like being viral, right? So, I mean, from what I hear, it's like the people who really get a lot of social clout, they don't do it for like one off-the-cuff thing. It's usually the people who can do it, who could sustain something consistently.
That's true. Sustain it and be an internet figure and try to make a living, even if a poor
like,
one.
do you think like people think like being viral for that one thing amounts to much? It doesn't.
It really doesn't, and there's a reason why all those people try to turn it into something greater. The Haktua girl doing like her bullshit podcast.
Yeah, but the thing is,
that
like,
tweet about Ellen DeGeneres killing off these memes by bringing the person on, and then they're lame. Is very true.
I mean, it's like the difference between like stealing the fruit from another's tree versus like taking the time out to plant the seed yourself.
Yeah.
To cultivate it. Yeah, it's going to take a lot longer. It takes more steps. But once you get it and protect it and like nurture it and cultivate it, it's more valuable. It's more meaningful. It's more lasting. And it reflects a pattern, not just one single moment in time space. A pattern transcends that. That's more valuable, I think, with content creation. That's my philosophy of content creation. I don't just try to go for the biggest impact, like a fucking, you know, by just fucking randomly shooting into the dark. Well, no, I want to be. I'd rather be the center of gravity in some way, even if it's like a weak orbit. I don't care. I'll grow it. You know.
That's fair.
I mean, even like I look at like someone like Howling Mutant.
Yeah.
From what you told me about him, he's a consistent guy. He's not one thing that he says or did that makes him who he is and great. No, it's what he does.
Yeah.
That's more powerful than just that one instance of viral fame.
That's a very good point. I'm talking to him, he says, like, I'm a vulgar comedian who doesn't have to worry about money because he has a city job.
Yeah. So it's just what he hones consistently without any worry about doing it to try to be anything. He's like, no, this is just what I do because I want to fucking do it. This is just what I do. Same thing with me in martial arts.
Yeah.
If I had to worry and do about money while doing martial arts, I probably wouldn't be a very good martial artist.
That's true. It totally changes your incentive structure in very perverse, unpleasant ways. We talked about content creation before.
Exactly. And meanwhile, I'm the kind of person who doesn't define myself, especially doing a podcast or hanging out with people, as like exclusively a martial artist. And yet I feel like martial arts is where I probably shine the most in my life. You know, like where it's like I'm surrounded by people who are like looking at me like, how did you do that? You know, like that's the only time but yet it doesn't seem that significant. And I think to me that plays a big part of why I could get to that level there, because to me it's not about becoming significant. It's just, no, I do it because this is just what I do. This is why I'm trying to bring that to this podcast. This is what I'm trying to show people. It's like, I don't give a fuck if we don't have that one episode that doesn't go viral. I know, like, just from the, just by how, cause and effect works, if we keep doing this, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
There's no reason not to, because we're not pedophiles. We're not hurting people. We're not stealing your fucking money. We're not trying to assassinate anyone. Like, we're literally just being sincere, honest people. And that's all that's becoming an increasingly more novel thing in the realm of content creation. But I think that that's something that I can sustain because of what I've been through, what I'm able to do, and what I'm doing now,
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, with that, we could take a break from the first part. All right, and we're back. This is honestly probably one of the better parts of the podcast episodes in the format.
Yeah.
This is where we talk about philosophy, okay, and theories. This is where it's like, I feel like the first part of the podcast we want to get here, it's just we're always held back by like current events and like the news. We're always bogged down with like the material world. But then
we can always change it. We could change it next year to a different form. Next year. Actually, next year.
Listen, I like the format. All right, it's working. First of all, it's fucking working. The format is good.
Yeah.
We hook the people with the news, and then they're like, all right, so these guys aren't complete asswipes about current events. At least they don't feel like they don't get too emotionally invested. Sure, they have spicy opinions and perspectives, but at least these kids aren't the kind of guys who go out and like hurt people over opinions or try to ruin their lives. You and I would never do that. We're never the types to dox people. We're never the types to go and Karen out and try to make someone lose their job for getting shitty service at a restaurant. I wouldn't even stiff a fucking waitress out from a tip just for getting my order wrong. I think we're nice guys, dude. We say mean things.
Yeah, that's true.
We say curse words. We say slurs. But I think generally in our real day-to-day lives, like, I think we treat people fairly fucking well.
No, I think we do actually very well. I think both of us are actually very generous. You're a very kind, generous guy.
So are you, dude. Every time I've seen you, like I think you and I have always treated service workers, even like especially service workers, like pretty well. I've never seen an instance of you treating like a waitress, like a bartender, like shit. And I certainly don't. I like to tip them because usually they're the prettiest people in the bar. First of all, like the bartenders. So it's like they're usually cool. They know the layout. So it's like you got to respect the people who serve your fucking food and drinks and shit. So
yeah.
But that's just So that being said, I don't know. I mean, the format, like as far as the format goes, they get the first part from sensitive young men. They get the current events from sensitive young men, and then the second part is when they're unfettered by current events, and they can finally like go full throttle with their, like, I don't know, I guess their logo speak, which apparently like certain types aren't really capable. Did you see that clip of the interview with the fucking that like racially ambiguous brown lady who was like, but there's no scientific evidence that there's any genetic differences?
I didn't actually see it. I know the couple. The couple I think is the eugenics couple, and what the husband just spurgs out about it.
Yeah.
Which is, I didn't want to watch it because I knew it's I didn't want to watch it because I knew it would be exactly like how I would react.
I don't even know.
I knew it's exactly how I'd react.
But it's like it's already such old news, so it's like I don't even know if I
Yeah, it's something that was more significant a few years ago, yeah.
Yeah. Wait, what, wasn't an old interview?
No, I mean
what?
The behavior, whatever, with the glasses couple. Was this the eugenicist glasses couple, right? I forget their name.
Are they eugenicists?
They don't want to sterilize people. They're just like, people should have a lot of kids, and smart people should have a lot of kids, especially.
Oh yeah, and they decided
and they do like they're rich and they do embryo selection. So I'm pretty sure their kids are like embryo selected kids. So they're probably selecting kids that aren't as nearsighted as they are, which can be done. So
yeah. I mean, can't you train your eyesight too, even if you are nearsighted?
Yeah, I think to a certain degree, right?
Like, especially changing your diet or whatnot.
What, more carrots?
Yeah. You heard that too?
That was an old trope about carrots.
No, I was told it's like first you hold something like close to your face, you read the letters, and then you take it further and further and further. I don't think I'm gonna fucking find this interview, which maybe it's for the best. It was
blowing up on Twitter last week, but yeah, look, from what I recall, I didn't watch. It's funny I didn't watch it because I still vaguely read a bunch with it. people broadly on the left have engaged in like a kind of, and this really, I used to be way more hung up about it, as you know, engage in broad denial of obvious things. Like, they do not want to believe in oppressing people because of happenstances of birth, including race, intelligence,
IQ,
whatever. And then they overcorrect by denying those things have any validity whatsoever. And I don't know, it would be like, I guess it's like looking at the European wars of religion and then saying atheism must be the truth, because otherwise you get Catholics and Protestants killing each other. That's a stretch of an analogy, but that feels like an even-handed enough analogy.
This kind of brings me back to like that Jordan Peterson interview where it's like people were like debate God or Christianity with him, and then like you had one like libtard after another who was like, he would ask him and say, all right, like what is God? And then these people would be like, yeah, the Christians are awful, they've done this throughout history in the name of this God, blah blah blah. He's like, all right, now that we got that out of the way, now we could talk about what is God. And it's like, yeah, and then there were the Muslims, and then they did this, and then blah blah blah. It's like, all right, but then like now we can talk about what is God.
Yeah,
and then
it's
they would
very similar.
Yeah.
It's like, just because you have religious wars doesn't mean that God isn't real.
Just because you have pedophilia in the church doesn't mean.
Or you had like, you know, saying God is real doesn't mean that it's okay that you were molested by a priest.
Exactly. And that's
like this is kind of the whole dynamic here, and you can say it's actually even more with genetics and race in particular. I think a lib argument, which I have heard said directly, is, yeah, this is basically true, but nothing good comes of talking or thinking about it. I've heard this directly, actually from my trans ex-boyfriend, where he said, like, this is probably all true. Nothing good I can see coming of it, was his argument.
Well, if it could be killed by
my little brother said this too, is that, and I'm like, I'll argue and debate about it, but their claim is like, by contrast with God, where believing in God is good for human psychological well-being, there is no inherent, allegedly they're saying there's no inherent benefit to being a genetics realist. Which, even if true, doesn't necessitate the level of denialism where you're saying.
Well, no, I think the better question is, can pattern recognition be trained?
Right.
Can it be improved on people?
Yeah, definitely.
You think so?
To a certain degree.
Then wouldn't that automatically, like,
to a certain degree? I think a lot of time training pattern recognition is more of teaching people heuristics, like good, quick, and fast rules that are not always correct, and then probably also training them not to think that they're always correct.
You know what that sounds like? That sounds a lot like fighting, like martial arts.
Yeah.
Because like if you don't spar, because there's people that don't spar, but they train, they learn all the forms, they break boards and shit, but they never go like toe to toe.
Yeah.
So it's like for them, it's like, and then when they try sparring, they'll suddenly like do very robotic, stiff movements. Meanwhile, you're just like kicking their ass with like very fluid, loose combinations. Everything they do is predictable, and you're like, nope. And then you just like get them with a gut shot. Because that's the difference, right? It's like if you adhere to just like patterns because you can't recognize them, all you know is to just follow them, then you can't really master it.
That's true.
So yeah, pattern recognition, it has to be able to be trained. I mean, first of all, some of the biggest idiots in our society today is still capable of doing like more mechanical actions than say a caveman could, right?
Yeah, we talked about this before, actually, on the show.
The base threshold has gone up.
Yeah, that you didn't have martial arts in 40,000 BC.
Or maybe you did. Maybe it's
you did.
Yeah.
You probably did have something. I wonder, it's possible to say.
My theory is that the oldest martial arts originated from like dudes just mimicking animals. They were like, look at how this insect like pounces the other and fucks it up. We got to do that. Or look at how like these wolves.
I'm sure it's wrestling. It has to be wrestling, right?
What do you mean?
some earlier form of wrestling just
No,
seems
I mean,
like the most natural.
Look,
wrestling is
no,
so
but
natural.
that's not what martial arts is about. Martial art, if you all right, wrestling is great. I love wrestling, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, martial arts is ultimately the artistry was necessitated because there was a need for the smaller guy to be able to beat the bigger guy somehow.
Right.
If it was just raw nature, there would be no way for the small guy to beat the bigger guy. However, through cultivation of of craft like martial art, the little guy can suddenly start beating the bigger guy. And and albeit in some dirty and very painful and destructive ways. However, it's still possible. And also, you could do that by, again, studying nature. It's like, how do these wolves take down such a big fucking animal? Well, they use these tactics. They get a bunch of little guys to chase it down until it gets tired. They surround it and they can't do anything. That's already like half of the world's like tactics right there, like bundled into one scenario. That's observable in the wilderness, you know. So that's kind of like why in my head, like, I think the earliest forms of martial arts came about because not just animals, but they studied nature. Like, swordsmen were able to transcend animal behavior, and they were able to say, this sword allows me to act greater than even the monkey and the tiger himself. So what's next? What could possibly beat me now? And then they look to the skies and they're like, well, this thunderstorm could sure fuck me up. These waves can fuck me up. How? How do they fuck me up? That's how swordsmanship elevated even higher, because the masters, the old ancient masters, were able to say, we're done studying the animals and mimicking their movements. Now, how do we beat the other dudes who are mimicking the animals? Well, some dudes had the sense to actually climb the highest mountaintops and to study how the thunder functioned. You know, how lightning struck the earth. You know, like how the heavens came down literally and dropped fire onto these motherfuckers. Like, and how the oceans could suddenly like break down cliffs when given enough time and patience. And, you know,
very East Asian way of thinking about it, but you're true. I think you're correct.
Because, like, what else is there? I mean, all the East Asian martial arts that survived, even if they weren't as effective in like competitive sports in the modern era, they still.
Well, if anything, I wonder if they were competitive or effective in the past, and then over time they just fell entirely into rote behavior.
What do you mean?
Perhaps whatever Shaolin school, whatever, was far more effective in 100 BC.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, any era of martial arts where it was actually used in practical usage, like for
the
war.
difference between your form of kendo versus like the older form.
Well, I do two styles.
Right.
I do Toyama-ryu and I do Shinkage-ryu. Shinkage-ryu is what's called a koryu. Koryu means it's from the small years, which means it's from the like way back. Like that style was made in the 1400s. The other style that I do was made in the 1900s, 1930s.
Yeah.
That style is more practical for me because it teaches me how to operate a real sharp sword without cutting my fucking digits off. Right. Whereas the other style teaches you is more focused on, let's say the sword's already out. They never practice with metal swords. They just practice with bamboo swords. But but they know all the fancy movements with the body. The other style shows me what to do with, like, how it feels to actually operate a real sharp blade. And usually if you only do one or the other, like, you kind of lack, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, I think that's one of the reasons why I was able to excel to where I'm at. It's because I actually did come at it from the beginning from two different perspectives. And at first it was a challenge. Like, one teaching would get in the way of the other until I stuck with both long enough till I finally found the common thread. And I was like, oh, it reminded me of like growing up as a Korean American. You know, it's like I see one culture doing something right, but doing something wrong. And I see another culture doing something right, but doing something wrong. And I'm like, oh, this is the intersection. So I treated like studying two styles of swordsmanship the same way. And now I kick a lot of ass. I mean, there's still people that I like to beat that I still haven't really like consistently beaten yet. Like my teacher, for example, he's scary. He fucks you up. Like, but he's got a lot of combat experience, like as like a bouncer, for example. Like, so yeah, I mean, martial arts, man, it's a good place to really balance out chaos and order. In a very realistic and applicable sense. And it also gets you comfortable with pain. It gets you comfortable with struggle. It gets you comfortable with discomfort. You know, now I could say, like, you know, half the part of, like, actually more than half the part of winning a fight in the street would be like taking the initiative. And usually what prevents you from taking the initiative is like, what if I miss? And what if I get hit? Then I'm going to get hurt, and I'm afraid to get hurt. But if you've gotten hurt already, it's like, Well, I've gotten hurt. Like, what's the worst that could happen? He counters, he gets me. I'm still gonna get back up and I'll fuck him up then, take another shot. So it's like if you've taken enough hits, you're like, well, what's the worst that could happen? I die. Oh well, we all die, right? You know, like that's kind of how I feel about it now. I'm like, you don't want to hurt anyone, especially because, you know, especially at the rate I didn't advance in a slow way. It didn't take me like 30 years of my life to get to where I'm at. It took me like less than a decade, you know, and which is not because I'm already instructing. So it's like I remember acutely what it was like to be weak. I remember acutely what it was like to not be comfortable in my own body. I remember acutely what it was like to not know how to operate my body the way I can now. I'm acutely aware of that fear. That's probably the biggest reasons why I would have avoided, like I would choose flight over fight, was because of the uncertainty. The uncertainty is the source of the fear of the unknown. And the reason why like physical confrontation is unknown to you is because you don't practice. You don't actually go out and take hits in friendly sparring matches, which is a great way to actually learn how to take hits, because the guy you're sparring, he wants to hit you, but he's not trying to fucking kill you. He's not trying to send you to the hospital. He's not trying to fucking like make you look stupid in front of the women. No, he's trying to like hit you so that he could help you get better, and you're trying to hit him so you could help him get better. That's why it's a beautiful tonic practice. It's like beautifully platonic, you know? We're mastering violence together in a very like fraternal way.
Yeah, very fraternal, that emphasis.
I mean, I don't really hang out with any of my dojo mates ever in a personal sense, but I feel very tied to them, close to them, because I fight them all the time. I feel like I know them very, very well in a way that not even their parents probably know them. And they probably know me in a way that, you know, my closest friends and my family probably wouldn't know me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think about that, and I wish everybody could experience that, but I also know that it's not for everybody, you know? But then I feel the same way about other things I've tried. Like I've tried psychedelics and acid and shrooms, and those have been very rewarding experiences for me. But then I think about it, I'm like, I wish everybody could experience this, but then I realize like it's not for everyone. So it's like, but then it's like, how many of those experiences can I have before I eventually become very isolated? Because one thing I don't want to do is think like I'm a chosen one or I'm a special person. It's just it's more of the kind of thing where it's like, I just think it's natural. You know, it's like you climb a mountain and, you know, eventually the higher up you decide to go, to personal choice to go higher and higher, it's going to get lonelier, right? Mm-hmm. It makes sense. Like any mountain peak you go to, the higher the altitude, the lonelier it's going to be. And I've accepted that, I think. I've come to like accept it. And it's not even like I lament it. Like and I feel great about it because this is the one decision I'm actually happy about, you know? Like everything from loneliness to pain to fear, it's all expected now because like I chose it. So there's no way I'll regret it or lament it, because like at least half these people are suffering that I know because they're suffering from shit that they didn't even choose. At least all of my suffering now at this point in my life is my own choosing. Yes. That makes me feel so much better than when I was like a teenager, when I felt like life was just happening to me. It's not like that anymore.
Yeah, because of that agency, because taking control of.
And it wasn't even like I needed a lot of money. I needed anyone to die. I needed anyone to be No, it was literally just a shift in perspective. I'm just grateful. Like I don't have to be alive. I just want to be. It's not a need. If I died, nothing would fundamentally change. The world would keep turning without me. So I don't have to be here. I just want to be. And if I live with that perspective, everything is a gift. So when I apply that to something like even like martial arts, it's like any challenge is nothing to me now. You know, it's like what is Sensei gonna do? Is like do this cut 1,000 times. I'll be like, great. It's been a long time since I felt really challenged by something. Let's do it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Because I know I could do it. And I know I haven't done it, but I know I could do it, so I'm gonna do it. You know. Or it's like get to a level where you could beat like everyone in a row without getting hit once, and I'll be like, all right, I'll do it. Because I could see myself doing it, so I'll fucking do it. Can you see yourself adopting a similar mentality? Maybe not now, but at some point in life?
Yes.
Like, you know, here's what I think. You've seen The Matrix. Remember that moment where Neo realized he was the one?
Yeah.
I feel like that's really ultimately everyone's destiny. Just not everyone is like lucky enough to live long enough to see that through, you know? Some people experience it on their deathbed. I think most do. I think most people finally get it at the deathbed. You know, when they're taking their last breaths and they look back and they're like, I could have done this, this, and that. The present was the gift the whole time. And that's probably their last thought. That's why it's almost euphoric. Because they can't regret anything at that point. It's like, it wouldn't have mattered if I did things differently. I'm still going to end up here. But it's a gift also. It's a greater gift to be able to realize that before you reach your deathbed. Because then you could capitalize on the benefits of like posthumous reflection before the posthumous part, you know?
Yeah.
Then you become unstoppable and the sky's the limit. That's transcendence. That's ascension. That's upping your frequency. That's going from reactionary to, that's from mastering your responses, you know? And you can't do that when you're bogged down by family traumas, by culture, by nationalism, by religious dogma, by ethnic purity, by IQ hierarchy, by fucking politics. Like that's the shit that gets in the way of what I'm talking about right now, you know? And I think you realize that, and you're slowly starting to let go of that. I think you're gonna become like Terrence McKenna. You know, you're gonna eventually, your hair is gonna grow longer, your mustache is gonna get greater, you know, and you're just gonna be like, I don't need shoes, and all the women are gonna be like, yes, Carmen. You're gonna be like Sadhguru. They're gonna be like Guru Carmen. You don't need shoes. You're not a guru. You maybe not a cult status, but I think you're gonna be a free spirit, and I think you're destined to be a free spirit. Don't you want to be?
I already am.
Yeah. I want to be a free spirit. I think I consider myself a free spirited individual, you know?
Yeah, I just went down a cul-de-sac on free spirithood.
A cul-de-sac, you think? Nah, I think you went through what's it called? A nexus. You're at a nexus point. Because once you even consider it, you know, you're at that nexus point, and the nexus point dictates that once you're able to observe, you know, your different probabilities based upon your cause and effect reaction chains, then you're truly the master of your own destiny. And once you're truly the master of your own destiny, you cannot complain about any outcome that happens in your life. And that is a scarier responsibility than anything else in the world. Scarier than having a kid, scarier than taking a new job, scarier than the first day of school. Like we're talking about like taking radical self-efficacy into account, radical self-responsibility. But that takes a higher, you know, like a higher frequency. And a higher frequency, how do we unlock it? Well, I just think it comes naturally when you're aligned in mind, body, and spirit. That alignment, it's like a car, right? You could have a beautiful car, but if it's tuned like shit, it's gonna do more harm than good. You're gonna like be sputtering, just trying to get on the freeway. You're gonna be like crapping out. The check engine light's gonna come on. You're gonna be like, why is it leaking? Why is it leaking? Did my fucking axle just break? And your super expensive car is now bricked because it wasn't tuned right. However, even the shittiest 4-cylinder little Japanese sports car, once it's tuned right, that shit could do work. That shit could fucking, you know, it could last way more miles and have way more experiences in that fucking Beamer, you know? This is why I think harmony is more important than being like physmogged or brain mogged or fucking like, you know, soul mogged. Like, no, it's not about being the most intelligent, the most fittest, the most fucking, you know, spiritually aware or the most spiritually wise. No, it's just making it so your mind, body, and heart are not fucking with each other. I haven't said that in a while on the show, but I'll say it again because I still live by that code. You know, it's not even a code really. It's just a principle. Like, but you know, once you attune that instrument right, once those three aspects are like in harmony, you can't stop the growth. Once you go there, you don't go back. And that's the scary part too, because you realize you're going to be fundamentally different from everyone else. I think everyone knows that too subconsciously. That's one of the main blocks of like all the chakra points. Like I can't clear that up because my suffering, I'm sorry, that trauma, like yes, it was horrible, but I can't just quote unquote let it go. Not because of how unjust it was, but because it's such a core part of my identity. Meanwhile, that whole identity in itself is like just an illusion. It's deep shit. And the reason why is this important? You're gonna be like, Chris, what's with all this navel gazing? Well, this is important because this is the fundamental root of every decision you make in life. Every decision you make in life hinges on your state. You know, it's not just about like the evidence. It's not just about the material factors before you. It's also about the emotional, mental, and physical state you're in. That's also going to determine everything. Like if you're starving, you're going to pick a different thing to eat than if you were already like, you know,
satiated.
Exactly. And you know, the choice of place you eat could be like could provide a fundamentally different route and experience in reality, you know? Even if you don't eat a lot and you just feel in abundance, like I only eat once a day anyway, I don't need anything big. And maybe that could save you from getting into like a life-ending car accident, you know?
Yeah.
The less you do, the less probabilities that necessitates. The less you consume, I should say. Consuming less does seem to stave off entropy. Entropy does kind of come when you have like when you generate way too many possibilities. It's like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this, I want to do that, and then suddenly like entropy collapses on itself, and you end up doing nothing.
Many people are experiencing that now.
Well, yeah, on many levels,
paralysis.
on multiple levels. Yeah, with life, with what to have for lunch, with what women to be with, what type of woman to be with. Yeah, what type of man to be with, what type of car to lease. You know. So yeah, this is why I think the ancient practices are even more important now than ever. And I can't think of a cooler one than martial arts. Like, it's just the best meme to me. Martial arts is a meme. You're learning like units of just combat, you know, that you express with the body. I mean, that's why football is so fucking huge. It's like it serves that outlet without the corniness of martial arts, as a label.
Yeah, and it makes for good spectator sports. I don't know. America has a big sports culture, which I am not going to criticize on a Reddit level, calling it sports ball or whatever. It's clearly fun to watch for other people. A lot of people probably played it somewhat, so they have a better understanding of it. When I watch like StarCraft streams, I understand the significance of what's happening. It's not just lights going off because I spent my childhood playing StarCraft.
You know what? Whether it's sports, whether it's StarCraft, to me, they reflect the ultimate actual game.
Yeah.
And you could also say the ultimate art form. Can you guess what I'm going to say?
What?
It's war. War is the ultimate. Unfortunately,
yeah,
I say
right.
this.
I say
this. I say this in a lamenting way, like in a melancholic tone. Well, whatever tone I say it in. I'm just saying it's sad that the ultimate art of mankind is war, because it takes specialists from every discipline.
Yeah.
It demands specialists from every art form, every science, every.
The stakes are so high; it's literally life or death.
It's everything.
Yeah.
It's reality. It's the fabric of reality itself. You use the fabric of reality itself as a weapon. Everything gets used as a weapon. Everything from psychology to philosophy to religion to even choreography.
Yeah.
To painting. Everything gets encompassed. Wherever man goes, war follows. War is truly the highest art form known to man, and it's not a good thing. It's not a bad. It's amoral, we should say. War is an amoral, highest art form known to man, which is very fucked up. But
yeah, this is the Judge from Blood Meridian.
It is. It's war. This was the military-industrial complex.
The ultimate trade awaiting its ultimate practitioner.
That's the line from the guy.
Yeah, from the Judge, Judge Holden. Yeah,
and it's also it's Sauron.
Yeah. The Judge is he's a lot happier than Sauron, but there's a strong similarity there.
Oh yeah. Because they're not really...
He's always dancing. And as the line is said in the novel.
And honestly, like if they both got their way, you know what world you would get? The world we're living in now.
Yeah.
Like if Sauron won and like he was allowed to develop everything into whatever, it would just turn into the modern world today.
Yeah, this is the Sauron as the
Victor world,
as the proto-industrialization figure versus the provincialism of Middle Earth before that point. Yeah.
So yeah, when it comes to when I say that, I think it doesn't mean our lives have to be defined by war, because art is just one aspect of it.
Yeah.
If we could just be honest about it, then we could be more meaningful about it, because like we could finally admit why we like violent video games. We could finally admit why we venerate paintings depicting like carnage. We could finally admit why we like take care and craft of carving up animals. Like we could finally admit that there is a necessity, almost like an innate spiritual necessity for us to enact like acts of violence, at least to preserve ourselves and to preserve our own existence in 3D, in the three-dimensional material world. Like Minecraft. I'm sorry, like I didn't ask for these zombies to exist in this mindless children's pixel game, but I'm gonna have to kill them, even in this.
They didn't play that much Minecraft. It seems like a case where there's like this is a derailment of the playing Legos on your computer part is really like the biggest appeal, but to have a gameplay loop.
Let me stop you though. What's the biggest appeal of playing with Legos?
Creating something
has to be, right? I mean, I'm thinking about the answer myself because I loved Legos. So what was the appeal to me? For me, I had the most fun playing with Legos when I was in elementary school.
Yeah.
And on Fridays, we got to take out the big, huge buckets of Legos and spill them out. We got to just make shit. And we did these crazy elaborate space battles, like where we just made like...
Yeah, that's the thing, is that I've never been someone who is too big on the creation part. I liked with like Legos. I like putting together, a battleship or whatever.
Yeah.
But I liked it when it was leading to...
destruction.
Yeah. It's the same thing where it's like, I'm not big on... Sorry.
But that's why war encapsulates that perfectly. We're going to create these beautiful things, and it's going to fuck everything up and destroy everything. And it's going to get destroyed in the process.
It's interesting because they're both very male interests, but I never was that into that.
Are you serious? Women do this shit too, just in a different way. Like women will like construct these beautiful, like crazy psychological, sociopathic social schemes that could ruin a person's reputation and their livelihood, as if it was like going off like napalm. Like
that's
like a tactical
true. Women
nuke.
love social violence,
and it might as well be exactly. It might as well be a form of violence, because you're like you're killing someone in a way,
Yeah.
So even women are down with war. It's just their war is a little different,
Yeah, I liked.
I think both plays. Again, war, like women just get sucked in, just like men, into the ultimate schema of war, which seems to be ruling us. War is the super intelligence. Like we think, capitalism is evil. No, it's war that bitches out war is one of the four horsemen, for fuck's sake,
Yeah, capitalism isn't.
Capitalism is just the ultimate knight. It's like the ultimate scribe of the four horsemen, The four horsemen like got together and was like, let's create something that like defends all of us. And then they created capitalism, the fifth.
Well,
D'Artagnan, kind of figure.
Yeah. So capitalism, let's see. Capitalism undercuts famine. It is.
No, it doesn't. Famine supersedes capitalism, I think.
Maybe it's not that it supersedes it. Is
because without
industrialization ended famine.
Because without capitalism, doesn't like famine just like suddenly like it's famine left. It's just like it's every other horseman left without capitalism. Capitalism is like the only weak barrier between us and the four horsemen of death, if you think about it.
Yeah, it really is. It counteracts the desire for war, for
famine, for death, for
you're trying to avoid death with it all.
And pestilence.
Pestilence.
Yeah.
And
that's the whole pharmaceutical. That's the big pharma, big food, big tech, and big weapon. Big gun.
I guess one big factor really, when debate about capitalism or communism comes up, it's like, because Ted Kaczynski was such a smart guy, he really honed in on the Industrial Revolution. And the Soviets were all big on, industrializing, modernizing their economy. It's like, because of the Industrial Revolution, because of hydrocarbons, because of this huge array of technological advancements that all happen at the same time, things that used to be with us departed. In Das Kapital, Marx goes on and on and on about textiles, perhaps because he's in England where there's early textile manufacturing. But like a lot of the examples he uses are stuff like, you know, a medieval weaver could, I don't know, weave a bolt of cloth in a week, and modern technology means you can weave a bolt of cloth in an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Everything happens much faster, more effectively.
Well, everything's gotten so accelerated to the point where we realize the only resource left that's truly pure, you know, because everything else is like accounted for basically. And like what supersedes all of it? Like what is the driving engine resource behind every physical resource? It's data, it's information. Behind every chunk of gold, every barrel of oil, every chunk of lard, every bit of fucking, I don't know, soap, every bit of fucking gasoline, you know, like every ounce of that. I think I mentioned that already. Whatever. Yeah. Like it's behind that is a spreadsheet. And we realized that more important than like all the physical resources is who's accounted for it. This is why the ledger is so important. And I think this is why Bitcoin went over a lot of like stupid people's heads, because stupid people are still thinking in terms of the raw resource that they're tied to. Yeah. Maybe their family just dealt in apples. Maybe their family just dealt in, you know, like paperwork. Maybe their family just dealt in dentistry. Whatever like singular source that was like representing like the meta thing, which was data, information, you know.
You know, this is, it seems from my vague understanding of his, like, economics is really a very recent field. When you read proto-economic stuff from even the 19th century, it seems retarded or insane or bizarre. But I guess it's like they were like, industrialization hadn't happened yet, so they weren't fully on board with it.
Well, can I tell you? Well, can I tell you something? I don't know if I could be easily wrong about this, but in my opinion, from like my limited knowledge, I think that the Industrial Revolution truly started with the invention of the printing press. Because with a printing press, you could mass produce instructions to even fucking put together these things in the first place. These machineries that would provide automated infrastructure of like production, you know? Like you give a bunch of peasants like a bunch of pieces of something and it's going to take them like months to figure it out. However, if you're able to print out also manuscripts and documents to be able to say, here's how you put together this trebuchet, you know, whatever, like they'll be able to fucking whip it up, you know, like even an idiot could do it. They don't have to be the ones who invented it. They could just follow the instructions. Same thing with like religion, you know, and same thing with like political guidance and economy. It's the printing press, you know, that really changed the game.
Printing press is the start of the modern age.
Okay, that's a good correction, you know.
It's worth emphasizing that the Industrial Revolution isn't happening until even before the steam engine, because like there's two big phases. One is like 1800, the other one is like 1860.
Okay, so maybe it's a triangulation of A, the printing press, B, the like source of energy, like motion, perpetual motion through like steam powered, you know, motion,
steam,
and cold.
Yeah.
And also C, which would be gunpowder, like the advent of like gunpowder based weaponry, right? Like projectile based weaponry. Effective projectile-based weaponry.
Yeah, there's some triangulation there.
Like, because once you're able to, and because like the mass production supports the guns, and then the information, like the printing press, also supports like.
I think the printing press steam engine connection is a lot stronger
than the actual gunpowder weapon.
If only because, like in the 17th century. In the Middle East, Central Asia, India, even China, you have gunpowder accompanied by like bans on the printing press or difficulty implementing that.
Because like
the Mughals who invaded, you know, India in like the 17th century from like what's now like Iran, Afghanistan, whatever. They had a bunch of guns, but they didn't have the other parts. Or they had very limited printing, for instance.
I could give you an example. Like, here, this is actually a very poignant but specific and weirdly like coincidental. Think of Japan. Yeah. When did they? It's kind of like what was around the time when they first started A, incorporating like a steam powered rail network. B, an army that used guns instead of like, you know. like archaic weaponry.
Japan's
and C
interesting
and it had a printing press implemented.
Japan's interesting because they had printing before the other two.
Of course.
Like, Japan had widespread literacy by, like, 1820.
They were,
like, it was like 70% of the population was literate.
They were isolated enough to, like, have to, like, utilize, like, parchment-based information distribution, you know?
Japan's interesting because they were
like the first postmen. They probably were the first implementers of like actual like an effective postage system. Like
there is an effective postage system in Rome.
Oh, for sure. Actually, you're right.
That's I don't know about an earlier one, probably even China or something. But yeah, there's a lot of grasping towards the same things and how much you're able to maintain it or whatever. Japan was undergoing its own industrial revolution like behavior before the Meiji Restoration. Like, there was a small but functioning middle class with like conspicuous consumption, with woodblock prints that people would buy to engage in like social status wars and for aesthetic. Like, there's a lot of things in pre-Meiji in like Tokugawa Japan, late Tokugawa Japan. It's very medieval in a lot of ways, by which I mean it seems very old-fashioned in a lot of ways, but there are a lot of things about it that were very modern. And this was like a society banning or limiting guns while still having like an emerging middle class.
I like one of my favorite eras is when people in Japan started dressing like people in San Francisco.
Yeah. What's that, like 1890s or something?
I think so.
That makes sense.
Also, right before World War II.
Yeah.
I heard that was like a poppin' era for Japan.
It's a very interesting era. Japan's just such a unique case, which makes sense that people fixate on.
Also, it's a magical place.
You know, yeah, that's true. You know, Japan, they would have like, you know, limited areas where like the Dutch could come and trade, but they would buy Dutch newspapers and like Dutch magazines. And even though everyone's, you know, wearing robes, the Japanese were engaged in the wider world. Like, if you're in, I don't know, Kyoto University or something, you would get a newspaper or magazine from the Dutch.
Yeah.
And they weren't allowed to go to Kyoto, but you could, and you would go and you'd be like writing little briefs, interacting with like Dutch mathematicians.
If I ever catch you being a sensitive young single man again, we got to go to Japan together.
Yeah.
If we go to Japan, we'll have some interesting times, just unfettered by personal prior obligations. Not to even be like a passport, bro, but just to, because I have connections with the dojos, and we could go and check it out. I have to go. Anyway, with that, we could conclude the second part. Keep it moving. Maybe some pineapple chocolates.
Yeah, okay, favorite segment, go.
All right, go to segment. Let's really talk about media or, I don't know, creative endeavors. I watched the final season of Stranger Things.
I only watched the first season of Stranger Things.
So, by this point in Stranger Things, you find it's heavily implied that when Vecna kidnapped Will, he sexually abused him.
Yeah.
And now
the show is implying indirectly that he is gay because he was raped.
No, they weren't. I don't think they were implying that at all.
It just comes off that way.
Yeah, it does come off that way. I don't know if it's intentional because there were clearly gay characters before this revelation that Will is like, I'm gay now, guys.
Yeah.
But it was the way they framed it was actually kind of weird too, because they were like, they came up with this cockamamie plan where Will has these latent psychic powers through his experiences connected to Vecna. So now they have to use his psychic powers, and basically he's saying like, here's the thing, like Vecna has like this innate connection with me psychically, and he could exploit every weakness I have. And the only way I could get rid of my weakness is to fight him at full strength, is if I release everything that's holding me back, holding me down. And then it's like, so if I'm going to get rid of that, I have to be honest with you guys. It's basically just him being like, guys, I'm fucking gay. I don't like girls. That's literally the line. It's
This
like,
is just like it.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this meme kind of spells it out perfectly. Like, you know,
Yeah.
in season 1, it was dragons and dungeons, and girl screams at bad guy screams, he disintegrates. Season 5, it's like, go, gay beam.
Also, there's a lot more characters.
There's a
Whatever.
lot.
I've only watched season 1, so I know it's hugely bloated.
Well, this is kind of like a cue from season 1, where Will is getting
Isn't that a later season? Season 1's a lot more tight. It's a great show.
No, this is
season 1.
this is a scene from season 5, but they showed depictions of Will when he was a little boy, season 1 version. Yeah, but they were a lot more explicit about what they were what he was doing to Will as a little wee lad, like jushing his big slimy tentacle in his mouth and feeding him some nefarious psychic manipulation juice. I mean, this is all kind of like on the nose shit. Like, what the fuck were they thinking? Like, seriously, what the fuck does a person think when they're writing this kind of stuff? It's like,
let's include a homage to Alien. Like, literally, it's that. And Alien, you know, was written as a gay rape kind of reference points kind of situation, but
okay, so there is a precedent for it.
like, it seems very overtly it's just Alien.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, like, you know, Stranger Things did mess with...
And it allows you to have a violation, an insertion, penetration violation that's not anal, which makes it obvious.
Also, maybe a little homophobic.
Also, once again, it is literally just Alien.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, Stranger Things was supposed to be an anthology. The first season concludes perfectly fine. You have more things there, but like, it's like season 1 could have just been a one-off without issue.
Fair enough.
This is a common enough media thing of like the one-off becomes like this long-running series. This happened with the original Halloween. Originally, Halloween was supposed to be an anthology that, like, all these different movies would be called Halloween, but there'd be different scenarios. One movie would be supernatural, another one would be purely material.
What about, like, The Matrix?
That was always meant to be a franchise.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like it could have just ended after.
It could have just ended. Maybe it was written in a way that it was a good, satisfying enough conclusion, but...
I mean, the first movie was great. I liked the first movie. Mm-hmm. It's just the second movie, it kind of fell off. I wasn't really.
And then the third, and then I didn't see the fourth, but the fourth feels like it was just purely we're playing with the fandom, meta references.
Well, I mean,
that tiresome style.
Yeah, I wasn't into the fourth movie that much.
I didn't see it. The first one is fantastic, though, yes.
The first one was fantastic, I admit.
The Animatrix is on whole good. It's a mixed bag, but that is directly an anthology, so you don't like one segment, watch the next one.
Well, the first one...
and anthologies by nature are uneven.
Well, the first one was so poignant, I think, was because, like, the time it was released. What did it come out, like, 2002 or 2001 or some shit?
The Matrix?
Yeah.
98, 99, 99, I think.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
All right.
It was in the 90s. It was the late 90s.
Well, either way, like...
I think it was 99. Maybe it was 98.
Okay. So, yeah, 90... Either way, around that time era, like, at the time period, it's basically, like, you know, as a young adult being, like, I don't know, Gen X? Yeah, Gen X. So you're growing up, and it's like you're pretty jaded. And it's like everything is kind of, like, flat. Even, like, humor has been, like, wrung dry. You know, there's really nothing at stake anymore, and you're like, nothing really matters. You know, this is also pre-9/11, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah,
9/11 was 9/11.
Yeah, so it was around that era, and again, this is like post-communist scare era. So it's like no one gives a shit about anything.
It's not even communist scare; it's post-Cold War ending. The big factor of the 90s was that the Cold War,
the Berlin Wall fell.
Narrative ended.
The Berlin Wall fell. Yeah, so everything was boring for quite a while, for the better part of the decade, and then The Matrix comes out, and then in The Matrix, like what it's depicting, like his job before he was Neo, like his boring ass fucking like sterile ass desk job, which was probably like a stark reality for a lot of like, I don't know, post fun shit Gen Xer living in like fucking like dead America of like fake like faux wood fucking everything. And
You're talking about Fight Club, but yeah.
Fight Club?
Yeah. Fight Club's the same dynamic. They have a non-defined office job.
Okay, so if it's more than one movie, then it's like
office space.
So it's clearly like reflecting
American Beauty.
So it's clearly reflecting a poignant reality that you and I may have been too young to fully
We were too
experience.
young to recognize.
Exactly, yeah. But for them, for people like say my parents' generation, like it was probably a very real thing. It's probably is still kind of in some ways a real thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, by the time the second movie came out,
it's an interesting dynamic because it's your parents, but not mine.
Yeah, yeah. Because my parents were like fairly, they were
Young,
younger. Yeah,
and my parents were old. Yeah.
So it's like considering all that shit, like I could understand the Gen X mentality, like watching The Matrix. I saw it. I saw the way they react to it. I saw like, and it's not like they had much to say about it. They didn't flip out over it. It's not like 80s kids with Star Wars. It's just they saw it and they were like, this is pretty cool. And as a kid, that made me curious because I was too young to understand it. But as I grew up with The Matrix, then it like sunk in over time. But for them, it must have been like, yeah. But then like the second movie,
the contrast with Star Wars, by the way, is that a lot of people who saw it as kids, if you were born in 1970 and you watched Star Wars when you're 7, it blew your mind because there was nothing else like it.
Same with The Matrix.
I watched The Matrix in theaters with my best friend and his mom, who took us to this R-rated movie.
It was like Dark City, actually.
Yeah, and it was like, it's good. I enjoyed it.
Dark City.
I found it intriguing, but the contrast with Star Wars was that it was like, whoa, this is interesting. I need to watch this movie again when I'm older to get a better sense of it. Which I did not get it fully, though I kind of got it. I mean, I got well enough. It was good at that, and it was cool as a kid.
I watched the first Lord of the Rings movie with like cousins who were significantly younger.
Yeah.
And I remember being like enraptured by it in the theater while my younger cousins wouldn't just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
That's how I first realized like I was actually like involved in witnessing an epic theatrical event, you know?
Because I think a bunch of things have that quality. There's something about the age. There's an area. There's a sweet. It's like when you read Ender's Game at 13. It probably hits you more than if you read it at 10 or 20.
I'm sorry the movie flopped so hard.
But
even though it had Ben Kingsley,
okay,
he's a decent actor.
Yeah. So there's something about seeing something at a certain time, a certain age.
Oh, of course.
Significant, yeah.
Like, for example, The Whackness. When I watched that, it was such a good movie. I think for Staten Islanders especially. I have from our conversations talking about Staten Island and how it relates to our like media tastes as Staten Islanders. I think Staten Island is like 10 years behind like the rest of
That makes sense.
In terms of cultural tastes, like Staten Island is still into like punk bands and indie rock and fucking like, but at the same time, like they're so dedicated to it, they kind of do new shit with it.
Yeah. Well, if everyone else has moved on, but you're still doing new things with it, there's still innovation there.
Exactly. So Staten Island does kind of do that, like that's kind of what, same thing with like the Italian American culture. It's like, it's still kind of reflecting of that in Staten Island. However, there's still like the smartphone variation of it,
It's interesting with the Italian American thing because you'd think it would have completely died off, but it still holds on. It seems like in certain areas.
Well, the fact that they had so many fucking kids the fact that
if they had so many kids for so long meant that you have a large dating pool within those areas, I guess.
Yep.
If you didn't have so many kids, they would have had to date outside of their ethnicity, and they would have to deal with different kinds of people, even if technically of the same class and education level, and would change who you are as a person.
And they also have a lot
of Italian Americans outside of the tri-state area. Outside the tri-state area, except maybe, I don't know, Philadelphia, Chicago, I don't know. They kind of blend in with these other groups.
True. Because like in a place like New York City, they're grandfathered into all the city positions, like in the police department, the fire department,
right. You
sanitation
have
department.
a level of local relevance there too, I guess.
My father has been serving as a firefighter in New York City fire department for generation after generation. You know, it's an old city. It's one of the oldest cities. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of legacy there. That's a good thing, I think. I like it. I like the Italian Americans. I'm tight with them, from what I understand from last I checked. Except now, like, you know, less, again, like it affects every culture. Less people are having kids. There's less of them, you know.
Yeah. It's a lot harder to maintain your local cultures if you have less kids. Even where they're the young, they all go to one place. It's like what I've mentioned before about how, like, you know, in Japan, I'm sure at one time there is a distinct Osaka culture versus Tokyo or whatever.
You know what is changing that though?
What?
In here, like around Staten Island, what's
What?
changing the whole like cultural homogeneity of like the Italian, Irish, even sometimes Polish and Russian American kind of thing going on here? It's the media. It's like the rap music, the trap music, the lean music. First that did a big dent, then the fentanyl. That also,
Fentanyl, yeah, makes sense. That has a huge. How many people do you know have died? I've said this before. How many people do you know have died of fentanyl?
Oh, a fuck ton. Like to name them all would take some thought. Like yeah,
it's like 7 people I've known.
Yeah, probably.
That's something we have in common because I often ask people that question, and so many people I meet say like, "Oh, I don't know anyone who's died of a fentanyl overdose." It really is like you have to be within a certain area, and then you know, if you know one fent overdose, you know multiple ones.
I mean, the fentanyl thing was like it's such a multifaceted problem because on one end you had criminals who were like producing the fentanyl illegally, illicitly, and selling it on the streets, which led to overdoses and stuff. But then you also had the pharmaceutical companies who were pretty much just selling like straight up equivalents to fentanyl. Like first it started with like the lollipops, you know, and these lollipops were given to like cancer patients and shit for the pain subsidization, or basically just subsiding the pain. Mitigation. Yeah. And they were trying to mitigate the pain using these fucking fentanyl based products with like whatever. But then what happened was I forgot that there's this kind of procedure that these pharmaceutical representative companies do. I think it's called like lead speaker events. And what they do is they'll cut a deal with doctors. And the thing is, like, these companies, these pharmaceutical companies, you start with a drug. Like, let's say you're a doctor and you go off on your own and you develop a drug for pain, for whatever case. And the thing is, like, in order for it to gain legs, you have to get approval from the FDA, and you also have to like be able to get someone to sell it. You have to be able to sell it. You have to get someone to buy it. You have to get doctors to prescribe it. So like that's the thing, and that's the biggest hurdle, and that's where the competition plays. Because the thing is, it's like doctors hold the keys to that. The pharmaceutical reps have to go to the doctors and they have to grease their palms, they have to suck their dicks. This is why these pharmaceutical reps aren't actual like people who work in the medical field. They're just salespeople. Like they hire like hot women. Why? Because these doctors are just as greedy and fucking horny as everyone fucking else. So they get hot women to go and represent these pharmaceutical companies. These pharmaceutical companies, yes, they deal in medication, but they don't really care about helping people because that's not their directive. They have a fiduciary responsibility to make money. And that means even if their drug has like some side effects, some issues, some problems, it's their job, it's their duty to say, we got to try to like fuck with that somehow. We got to try to like still sell this product and gloss over it. We'll spin it something, just like politics, you know, it's the same thing. So this is important because there's what we fail to recognize is how much money that gets built into this. Like a single prescription from a doctor of a certain drug can bill a sales rep company for a pharma rep company can bill like $40,000 a month for a single prescription. Now imagine 10 off of a single rep. Like a single rep manages like a bunch of doctors that could manage 10 subscriptions altogether, and they get $40,000 a month from each billed subscription. That's a fuck ton of money. This is why there's so much incentive to just do this. And what do the doctors get out of it? Why How do they get bought out? Well, it's easy. It's because the pharma reps know that they can bill so much on the return, whether it's covered or not, just from out of pocket, especially if it's from like Medicaid or whatever. So they even have a bigger deal. But really, like, they just basically cut the doctors a check for every prescription, because they know, like, for this new like form of fentanyl, that no longer do you have to like suck on these gay little lollipops. Now you could just have this like spray under the tongue and it works just the same and it works faster. So it's like, as a doctor, it's like, I tell you, since I know I'm making $40,000 off of every script, I would tell you, switch all your patients doing this stupid lollipop shit, switch them to our drug. We'll give you like a cut of each, like $1,500 each. And if you're like some doctor from the fucking Midwest, you're gonna fucking take that deal, because you're already treated like shit. So this is this whole corrupt industry of like pharma prescribing, and like this is a part of the reason why the opiate crisis got out of hand, because what happens is like these companies get greedy. At first they're like, look, our fentanyl based drug is specifically meant for cancer patients, people in like stage 4 cancer already, who are like experiencing all this pain from recovery, or not even recovery at that point. It's like, we're dying. And this is why we offer this fentanyl based drug. So what they do is they run with that and they fudge the studies to say that this drug is like 10 times more effective than the leading competitors. Yeah, because you're not applying the fact that this study was done on like stage 4 cancer patients. Now you're applying it to all cancer patients. So they're basically getting hooked on like stage 2 cancer patients, or, you know, like more benign forms on fentanyl drugs. And this is how they end up getting hooked. And like what happens is like eventually that's not enough. Like once like they start prescribing all the cancer patients this fentanyl based drugs, they realize other companies are starting to do this. So what do? They go off label. And once they're off label, you could say, all right, say like you could prescribe this to migraines, to broken bones, to achy backs, to aching muscles, to like toothaches. It's like, oh, this works on cancer patients, it should work for you, right? And this is how they get into a lot of trouble. This is why there were like recent busts off this shit, you know? But yeah, and it's not going to go away, because right now it's fentanyl, but tomorrow it's going to be some other fucking opioid based drug. And it's going to keep going. It's a legal grift.
Yeah. Because I'm lucky I don't like opioids.
Me too. You know, like if I realize now, like if I get into some shit, I really have to say like, no. Like, you could prescribe it, I'm not gonna fucking take it.
They
like,
prescribe it a lot less, but yeah.
Like, I don't care. I have my own.
I had my wisdom teeth extracted when I was 20 years old. I was prescribed Oxycontin, and I took one, and I was like, I don't like this, so I didn't take any more.
Dude, you know what I would do? I'm just gonna stick with Jameson every night until the pain goes away. Like, you know, like I'll heal through it. I'm not gonna do drugs. I'm just gonna take just enough to like get to that blackout point, pass out and sleep through it, and just do that until like I'll eat healthy, I'll eat right. I won't go out. I won't stay out all night. I'll heal, I'll rest, but just know I'm not doing that fucking shit. I'm not. Like, I'm not gonna do it. Screw that. Like, I can't do it. So yeah, the whole game, and people wonder why. It's like, why are all my friends dying of fentanyl? Well, how do you think the fentanyl ends up in their fucking hand? Not just illicitly, not just from cartels like from Argentina or Venezuela.
I think from Canada. Yeah, I think a lot of it is coming over from the Canadian border.
But it's also, we produce it. You know, we produce opioid-based drugs since Percocet, since OxyContin, since Roxy's, since fucking, you know, we've done this shit. It's not going away. Because, you know, like, it is a good pain reliever for a while, but until, like, there's no incentive to make people stop taking it. There's only incentive to make people keep taking it. And because it's like people dying off of your shit doesn't really affect the bottom line too much unless you're held accountable. But if you're not held accountable, if you're able to hire, like, the best lawyers in the fucking world and keep getting away with, like, making people OD off of your product, and you just keep cashing in, who's going to stop you?
Yeah.
Who are you going up against? The people that already lost their jobs from their injuries and shit? No. The worst case scenario, you could just give them a settlement. Here, $10 million, shut the fuck up and never talk to us again. They'll be like, okay. We already lost our father and our husband, like, might as well. This is the best we can get out of it. Take the settlement. Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Are you going to like fight the system? No. You know that's a losing battle. This is the world we live in. And this is why, like, I can't do anything about that. I can't control that. I can't, all I could do is master my own responses, like not put myself in that situation in the first place. Anyway, that was sent off of talking about stranger things in the trauma industry. I heard also, while we're on the subject, we just talk about it. I don't even have any material saved for this, but we could talk about the new Avatar movie, how like that's becoming a big thing. There was a choice scene.
I haven't seen it.
You're gonna see it.
I haven't seen any of the Avatar movies. I really
Really?
should. I know, it's real oversight.
Yeah. There was a funny scene.
No one does it like James Cameron.
Do you get the gist of it?
Yeah, I do.
Do you know the synopsis and everything?
Yeah.
There was a scene where it was like, apparently now in this new movie, there's an evil Navi lady, and she's all about like working with the humans to exterminate her enemies of her own kind. And she was like, "Teach me how to make fire from the sky." And you see like one of the American like buzz cut military Navis,
The
like
villain,
showing her,
Quaritch.
showing her how to use the gun, and she gets all excited, and she's like, they're like, "Ha ha ha!" And
Yeah,
they're like,
all the eroticized fantasies of their romance that exist within it.
yeah, this is like a very similar experience of like a liberal white woman going shooting with a conservative white boy for the first time.
All the examples I was seeing were comparing racist white guys with their women of color.
Yeah,
their
showing them
ethnic
slurs. Yeah,
girlfriends.
showing them racial slurs. And they're like, ha ha ha. Yeah, pretty much. Good stuff, good times. Yeah, I never gave a fuck about Avatar. It was
Avatar is something that plays huge everywhere except America. It does okay in America, but it's a huge cultural phenomena in China.
Is it?
Yes. No, the Chinese fucking, whenever you see something about like Avatar doesn't have any cultural impact.
And America's the bad guy.
China, it's huge.
Yeah. America's the bad guy in that fucking movie.
And I don't know, India probably another huge market.
Hell yeah.
Latin America, Africa, probably decent sized markets, but I don't know. It's like James Cameron created a big franchise that is absolutely fucking gigantic everywhere except America. Maybe not, I don't know about Europe, but definitely China in particular. It is like the biggest American franchise in China. In China, like they have Avatar theme parks and shit.
Yeah, I could see that. They also eat like things with faces still.
Yeah.
So, China's crazy. Man.
So Avatar's cultural impact, small here, huge overseas, which is like to a certain degree that was already true of, of a bunch of American blockbusters. That's true of Transformers, MCU. Avatar had less of an impact here and way more of an impact overseas.
I particularly like the scenes in Avatar where you find out that like to kill them you just have to cut off their ponytail.
That feels very silly, but
it's like their second brainstem.
Yeah, I don't know. As I said, I haven't seen any of the movies, so I just know about it through cultural osmosis.
It's pretty funny. I dig it. I would also say, like, aside from movies, I mean, movies are kind of becoming like a dead medium.
Yeah.
Video games are rapidly like taking over, I think.
Yeah, video games are always going to be different in it. Streamers and influencers are very, very big, obviously. Where talent used to go to Hollywood, now it probably goes to streaming.
True. I mean, I understand streaming as a medium, I think a little better these days because, I mean, I think it's... What the uncomfortable fact is that we don't want to acknowledge is the fact that younger people, younger minds do look towards streamers as like their main influencers, not as an influencers in the traditional term as we know it, like brand influencers. I mean like people that they actually look towards for social cues, like the proper social cues to use in day-to-day life, you know, people who educate them. And we're talking about guys like Asmongold or Moist Critical or fucking, I don't know, like the bad ones, like, and then they end up getting deeper into like stuff like Andrew Tate shit, you know. But this is all adjacent to like people who engage heavily with streamer shit, you know.
Yeah.
And even if you're a gamer, like a young-minded gamer, it's not even like you go into it thinking like, oh, I'm gonna keep up with all the streamers. It's just like you're playing these games like Roblox or whatever as a kid.
Yeah.
And then it's like you guys are talking. It's like, yo, are you guys gonna see the next Asmongold stream? It's coming on in 3 hours. It's like, I don't know. I thought we were just playing this game. It's like, no, this is what we always do. It's Thursday night. We play some Roblox, and then we get on the Discord chat, and then we go and watch like the streams. And it's like, all right, let's do that. So this is like they get each other into this shit because it's not just about the gaming. They also like,
well, it's about the social phenomenon, right?
Yeah, the community.
Like that, the big factor of like your live streams is being in the chat, interacting with other fans of this personality.
Exactly.
It's the same appeal as talk radio, calling into talk radio, but the barrier to entry is lower. It's not even a barrier to entry. It's just like you don't have to work through your anxiety to call up a station and then put on the air.
And you also share the experience with them because usually the streamers themselves are like engaging with the game deeply enough to even use the lingo. It's like, oh no, he's wave dashing. Oh no, he's using the spawn point. Oh no, you know, like it's to know that they engage with the kids in a way that make them feel like less like losers. You know?
Yeah. Not of the age bracket, so there's probably some wonderful dynamics I'm missing out on. I'm sure a big part of it is just being young and with your friends and interacting with them.
It's not that I feel it's an out-group or in-group kind of thing. It's just I see the market. I literally just go on twitch.com sometimes and I see it. Like I see like what's on the front page and it's like it's a void. It's a literal open market. Like people are thirsting for this engagement because more people now than ever have scrolled through everything. They've doom scrolled past all their favorite posts, all the people that matter, they've doom scrolled past all the fucking people in their immediate local life on Facebook. Like they've done it all, and then it's like what's left? It's the shit that's being streamed right now, real time, live, being experienced right now by the person who's right now at this very moment sitting in front of a webcam to talk to you.
Yeah.
What else is there? Not some pre-recorded, pre-edited newsreel or some shit. No, it's this. It's a live stream shit. It's the meta.
It's what's happening.
Exactly. So this is why I kind of get it now. Like I see it. I mean, eventually it's gonna get to a point. It's like you're gonna realize like you're gonna get all your news from people who just like stay home all day and watch streamers.
Right.
Even if they're news streamers or some shit, you know. I know people whose job it is to like basically trade stock options all day. And what do they watch? They watch the money streams. So yeah, I mean, I think that's going to extend particularly into media and entertainment, certainly. Why watch a movie when you could watch the movie as your favorite streamer watches at the same time as you and your whole community and everyone you've ever been friends with online?
I mean, this is often talked about by film reviewers and the like about the joys of watching a movie in the theater with a bunch of other people and having this superficial interaction with everyone else that are all like going to a communal activity together. And this is making it a lot more overt, and it's actually emphasizing the interaction part over the media consumption. I've said this before. I don't know if I've said it here. I feel like MMOs as a video game genre died because social media became so prominent.
I don't think it died. I don't think it died. I think it just became less significant.
Okay, less significant. Like the way when it was 2010, it felt like World of Warcraft was going to dominate everyone's life, and it kind of did. Facebook was like a lower barrier to entry, and it solely gave you the fun social parts of an MMO. And the gameplay mechanics of it, which are basically like a slower, floatier version of Diablo with, frankly, just taking longer, that faded from significance. Maybe I'm wrong in this assessment. You're screwing up your face, which makes it suggest that
I'm not screwing up my face.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, I'm just thinking about it.
I think the big appeal of MMOs was proto-social media and the dynamics that you find therein. And when social media took off, it was the best parts of an MMO without the bullshit game mechanics. Because frankly, there are funner games more focused on doing what you actually want to do, and then obviously the people who are really into it all, whatever. But
I mean, no matter what, when it comes to gaming, what's the biggest appeal of progression, right? It's the power fantasy fulfilled.
Yeah.
So in gaming, it's usually like you guys each as a party, whether you're logging on to a MMO together, you and your buds, you start off as pieces of shit. You start off as scrubs. And then you're both like fucking up ads together for hours and hours, days and days, months and months, years and years. Fuck up PvP for some years. And eventually you guys, through the shared effort, became like power fantasy gods, right?
Yeah.
Social media is like the same thing. Exact same thing. It's like usually the greatest relationships, like, yeah, I remember him when he was just a nobody back in those little groups, and then now he's like fucking crazy big. It's like you want to see that same kind of progression. It's like, oh, I remember when he was playing on those servers as a scrub, and then I watch him like owning the noobs, you know?
Yeah.
It's the same shit. So you're right. But the reasoning behind it is the progression, the character growth. Because the whole point of like one of the biggest appeals of keep sticking with an RPG is to see your own character growth, to see your own character progression.
Yeah,
and you could see that in social media. Except in social media, the immediate dopamine rushes are more pronounced of like sick combos with your spells and shit. But there's less focus on like the character progression because the dopamine rushes are hit so much harder on social media.
You know, this interesting. I was thinking about MMOs and RTSs, which were two genres that were once very prominent in video games and now are dead genres, or basically dead genres.
Yeah.
In RTSs, there's, I think, a different dynamic that went on, which is that, I'm about to sneeze, hold on. Good sneeze. Thanks. RTSs, I think, died. I think this argument is true. There's two big factors. One is that actually the advancement of graphics meant that the games were no longer playable. StarCraft 2 is so visually busy and clustered versus StarCraft 1. It's a lot more difficult to follow, even if it's ostensibly prettier. It's actually too much.
That's true.
Any RTS, if you're to make an RTS, it would probably actually have to have deliberate retro graphics.
All right.
There's a reason why StarCraft and Age of Empires 2 are to this day the top selling RTSs. Mm-hmm. They were in the sweet spot of graphics and the sweet spot of technology. Perhaps also the fact that technological limitations of his time, or design limitations of his time, meant that there weren't a lot of quality of life improvements, and a big part of the game's mechanics are the fiddly little bits of like microing units. That if you add quality of life improvements so that's not necessary, it changes the fundamental dynamic of the game in the same way that having an FPS that has aimbot very heavily built into it publicly would change the entire game genre, even though obviously aimbot is built into particularly console versions of FPSs. The other big factor is that the individual elements or appeal of RTSs got split into different subgenres that all have had their own individual success. That you know, if you like the grand overarching strategy part and like painting a map and expansion element of an RTS, you play a Paradox game. If you like microing your base, you play Factorium. If you like microing individual units in battle, you play League of Legends or another MOBA. So effectively, dynamics that, and it's also noteworthy that MOBAs originally emerged as like, I think, Aeon of Sorrow, the custom map for StarCraft, and then obviously Dota for Warcraft 3, and then like tower defense games, I think, at least in their modern form, emerge also from, I think, Warcraft.
I think you have a very old school perspective on RTSs because like everything you've been saying so far, you like completely ignore the PvP competitive aspect of these games.
That's
like you didn't say anything about that because that's the real significance of them now in the present context.
The significance of them at the time, except when you're playing single player as a kid.
I mean, I'm saying there's a reason why we still play StarCraft 2 in 2025 and 2026 is because as competitive platforms, well, yeah, sure. They still play StarCraft 1 religiously, in fact.
In fact, don't they play it more than StarCraft 2?
Yes. I would say in Korea especially. In the most competitive areas of the game, yes, of the genre, yeah. So I'm saying like that's the reason. It's what you described is a very significant like personal aspect because in like the earliest days, you know, before everyone really had like fast high-speed internet connections to even play like multiplayer games outside of LAN, you know, like you're right, it was a very personal experience and it was all about like the different flavors and how the developers approach their framework. But once the competitive aspect comes into it, that's what it's about now. That's the real hook now.
Okay, why are there no new RTSs?
Because we realize as a player base, even the most competitive players, that no matter how you reskin the RTS genre, it's always going to be the same thing. It's always going to be the sequence of like resource gathering. It's the 4X. It's expansion, extermination, and whatever.
Let's see. It is exploration, expansion, exploitation, and extermination.
Yeah, the 4X, the 4X model. That's the modern take on the RTS. So like no matter what art, and the thing is, it's like no developer has to really of an RTS has to consider the 4X system because every RTS system is going to facilitate the 4X system by nature.
Yeah. Why is it that there are people who play the latest streamers will play the latest Call of Duty. They'll play Genshin Impact. Is that a hero shooter? I don't even know. I'm showing my ignorance here. Your Fortnite. Your what's the Marvel one? I don't know. I'm showing
Marvel Rivals.
I'm showing what I am right now.
Well, I mean,
you have a bunch of new FPSs and third-person shooters and these new hybrid genres. I mean, like the hero shooter is overtly a hybrid of an FPS and Dota, a MOBA. What is the new? Why are there no new RTSs? Why did FPSs have new high-selling significant games past Quake, and RTSs, the height of the genre, is still StarCraft and Age of Empires 2?
I think first-person shooters are seen as very pedestrian now, right? Very pedestrian because it's a very stick-based gameplay where you just kill the guy. That's it. Kill the guy, take the space. Great. Next level up is MOBA.
Mm-hmm.
I think MOBA is very significant because, it's the most autistic, it's the most neurodivergently satisfying game. If you identify as something like that, this is going to appeal to you because it just assaults your senses. There's a lot of sequences, and I'm talking about like metagame sequences.
That's true. It's like MOBAs are built around metagame sequences.
Yeah, it's like I got to kill enough. I got to kill enough ads, and I got to kill enough players, and then I got to buy this spell. Then I got to buy a sequence of new spells, and if I do a different character, it's going to be a completely different sequences of different resource gathering.
It's a game based entirely around
so it's very
sequences.
stimulating. It's very, very stimulating. So that the MOBA games and that level scratches that itch that the real-time strategy games really scratched, which was that kind of metagame sequencing. Now, the most modern, greatest iteration that I could see is the procedurally generated model of like large-scale third-person shooter battle game. It doesn't even have to be third-person; it could be first-person. But it's like Helldivers 2, for example, like where that game is heavily based on like a procedurally generated battle system where it's so large scale, where it's like, you know, like like there's a whole meta world already set in place, like a solar system in battle, like a battle system in place where, you know, like you go in with your squad of 4 into this one planet.
It's going into an instance, right?
It's a server. It's a service-based game. So for this week in time, in like November of 2000, it could be this planet where this event is happening, where this battle is happening, and then like you could go in, you could make your 0.3%. You could change the tide of battle.
And that's an MMO thing,
and then
that is like taken directly from MMO.
But instead of MMO gameplay, it's like fast-paced third-person shooter type like battle shit, which also blends in a more action-based kind of gameplay, but there is a little bit of like elements of like meta gameplay sprinkled in. Now it's like you could do all this effort, like there's a player driven event where you all like take the initiative to try to take this planet, and then you wake up the next day and suddenly it all goes to shit. It's like, what the fuck? Like you guys all fucked it up. Like we were like,
wasn't there a circumstance I never played? Wasn't there a circumstance
EVE Online
Helldivers 2 where like the planned idea was that all of Earth would fall to alien invasions, but the Chinese team just kept winning. So China was like the last city or instance that did not fall.
I'm sure the gameplay developers have fail-safes like narrative, like dispersible narratives and stories that get broadcasted so that they could explain why there was ever a drop in player count, like some MacGuffin that stops the alien demands. So you see how this is appealing? The narrative matters for the player reactions, you know?
Right. This is very much adapting.
It's like South Park, you know?
Adapting a dynamic from MMOs.
EVE Online was a big thing about it was a big
This
precursor.
sounds directly like it is a dynamic of an MMO adapted to a third-person shooter.
You know what technology allowed it to be this fluid? No Man's Sky.
Oh yeah,
like where you could have like billions of planets in like a single, you know, like playthrough. You know, it's like because it's all procedurally generated. If you give it enough assets and variations within those assets, it could create whatever the fuck you need it to.
I often find procedurally generated stuff underwhelming myself,
but it's getting better.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah.
So if you're ever wondering what happened to RTS, this is where it's going.
I mean, let's see. But what's a modern RTS?
I think the future RTS. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, how about that?
The future RTS is where you're going to have 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have one game where it's going to be like a third-person shooter, like a AAA status, like slick graphics, crazy action. Another game where it's going to be like a mobile game. Maybe it's like resource gathering or strategy-based or whatever. Then a third game where it's going to be like a ship-based kind of like strategy-based, like EVE Online kind of shit. And they're all going to...
it's going to be like Paradox Interactive or something.
And they're all going to be connected. Like
they're all going to be... dream or the goal of Star Citizen.
This is why this is the future.
What Star Citizen was supposed to be if it wasn't vaporware.
Because no one's done it, but this is what people want. This is why this is going to fucking happen.
Yeah.
We just haven't been able to do it right yet. But it's going to happen. And this is the future of it. Any closing thoughts on media?
No, I'd be curious to see when that actually happens, if it ever does. Because when you have different genres of gameplay, it's a very appealing thought, but I think you have different audiences. And you have, even if someone can play all those games, they're probably going to favor one thing. And it's back to what I said before about RTSs, wherein I think it was an unstable hybrid of several, or an unstable predecessor to several different kinds of games. And now we've specialized into them.
Don't underestimate the technology, because things could get so detailed where it just adds so much depth to even like everything to operating.
Well, even if you're adding that depth to it, How many people are only going to want to play one element of that?
Put it this way. Look at GTA 6. That's coming out.
Yeah.
And that's literally just people getting excited over doing the most mundane shit about life.
That's been the case with GTA since 4, arguably since San Andreas. And another factor with GTA, frankly, is that it has such a large... So much of the audience of players are people who don't play that many other video games.
That's not necessarily true.
What?
I think that's true.
I feel like a huge portion of GTA's audience are people who have played sports games, who have played guns and balls games. And I know I'm not just saying this is a euphemism for blacks. I mean, like, I feel like GTA has a much larger... There's a bunch of people who have never played an RPG, but have played GTA and, like, FIFA or Madden.
They're still gamers,
or Call of Duty.
They're still gamers.
Yeah.
In fact, like, you just named, like, more genre against just one.
Yeah. There's certainly certain, I don't know, it's probably more like certain people have, like, I've barely ever played a sports game. They all seem very boring to me.
Dude, every game could be good. It's just, for example,
No, I know.
like, you know, speed running?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, do you appreciate that at all?
Mm-hmm.
See, like, that's the kind of shit I'm talking about. Like, GTA offers ample opportunity for mastery. It's like a dojo, you know, like where you could do like a lot of shit, a lot of cool shit.
Yeah.
And it's got a lot of good acting, and it's got a little like cultural references and all that shit. So it does a lot of things right. It's a hot product, honestly.
No, I don't mean to denigrate GTA.
You could denigrate it all you want. It's not the best game. I mean, there's a lot of things you could criticize about it, but the problem is with each new release, it just solves like a metric fuck ton of their problems with each from the previous one, you know?
I like Vice City the most, more so than 4 or 5 or San Andreas. This might just be because of my age or which way I played it or about the aesthetic of it. I like that it's still goofy.
They're all goofy.
More so. I like that Tommy Vercetti is just a deranged psychopath with no attempts to make him more complex of a character. I like that. I like that it doesn't have as many mini games. 4 feels bogged down in mini games and fiddly little extra bits.
So what do you like about it? Like, what do you like actually doing in the game?
Rampages and driving around and like the funny events and stories and radio shows and all of that. I don't.
Those sound like mini games.
That's a fair point. I guess because it's a game that has this huge appeal as a franchise, and there aren't many other things like it. And attempts to copy it don't quite get it right, besides, I guess, other open world things. But even then.
I think you're just trying to be critical of something that you're realizing is too good to exist, honestly.
I don't mean to say it's bad. It's very engaging. I remember the first time I played GTA 3 as a child, I was blown away by it.
It's too good to exist.
Yeah.
It's kind of sus.
You know what my complaint about 4 and 5 is that it just takes too fucking long to actually get to the fucking around parts of the game.
Like the first and second act or something?
Yeah,
prologue.
when the city opens up.
So you just want to get to the part where you could just indiscriminately kill whatever you want?
Yeah, or if you're just jumping into the story stuff. Well, I mean, you already are, but like, I don't know, the build-up, I don't know, this is probably very superficial, I don't know, it's, but, you know, the individual drive, I'm not into cars, so the driving mechanics are just whatever, I like them being more arcadey as a result, the gunplay is bad in all of them, even 5.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I mean, it could do a lot worse, I could say.
Yeah. It's really perfunctory and bad in the earlier ones. And then the cover-based shooting is like whatever.
I mean, I
and
like
the attempts to bring in.
I like the
Max
gunplay
stuff.
because you're not like a super soldier from fucking Halo. You're just this like regular thug. So
Yeah, it's funner though when you're a super soldier. Or I don't know, I love Max Payne, but the games are based way more around shooting than Grand Theft Auto. So
yeah, which is about driving too.
yeah, and just aesthetically, I like Max Payne way more. Speaking of another Rockstar game, but.
Well, when I play the missions of the later Grand Theft Auto games, they remind me of like Martin Scorsese movies. I think
Yeah,
there's a lot of
there's a
lot
stuff.
of artistic integrity there.
That's true.
Like there's a lot of integrity they kept that didn't have to. Like they didn't have to use mocap artists for their fucking scenes, but they did. They didn't have to like.
That's very big in AAA budget things to show it.
Not necessarily. Japan hardly does that. Like
Wow,
Hideo Kojima
Japan's
was the
different.
psycho that did that.
Yeah.
So I'm
He
just
does a
saying,
great
like,
job
I'm
with
just
it, but-
saying the mocap shit is like a big deal that Rockstar actually takes that step because it gives it a cinematic feel in their cutscenes. It's not just CGI. They're literally acted out scenes.
Yeah.
Like Red Dead 2 did that,
I don't like Red Dead that much, to be honest.
I'm just saying, like,
But I know what you mean. Yeah.
like everything you like about a movie is pretty much in those games.
A movie goes by faster, it's more directed. It is often more visually striking to me. Whenever a game's trying to be cinematic, basically Metal Gear Solid is the only thing where a game's being cinematic and I enjoy it. Nothing else really does it for me. GTA doesn't really do it for me. Mass Effect doesn't.
I mean, GTA, I feel like their cinematic quality isn't what they were really trying to sell. It's just the fact that they even did that step. It's like, it's kind of impressive, And it's not even any cinematics. It's not like they're creating wacky, fantastical doodle shit from a genius's imagination. No, this is real shit. Like these are
Yeah,
references.
it'd be more interesting if it was doing wacky stuff.
Like you listen to the radio. Who do you think you're fucking listening to? You're listening to like real artists that your parents grew up fucking listening to and shit. Like if your parents played like I don't know whatever fucking game was like relevant to them, whether it's San Andreas or Vice City, they'd be like, holy shit, this is exactly what was on the radio. Like they got that down to a T. They got all the cultural vibes down to a T of each era. That's impressive.
That is. But yeah, I don't know. I'll engage or see, but I don't know.
I think it's dangerous how like good they can get. Like imagine like a month in game time in Grand Theft Auto 6 takes like a week real life time. Like people are gonna want to see that through.
Maybe people would just check out of boredom, or maybe not. If they want to see it through, I don't know.
People are gonna make a living on that. People already make a living playing Grand Theft Auto 5, right?
Yeah.
What do you think that's gonna pan out to in the next one? Like, you think that's not gonna only?
I don't know. It could be possible that you lean too much into making the game for streamers that you alienate a bunch of the audience.
But they don't have to do that because they already lead the industry.
Yeah.
Who is Rockstar competing with at this point? Nobody.
They have a much broader demographic.
They have a monopoly on what they do.
They do, yeah. The attempts to copy them never get it right, really.
And they're sus. It's not like they have like this weird, wacky genius like Todd Howard at the helm. You don't know who the fuck runs Rockstar, do you?
No, I don't. I'm sure it's maybe it is one. It probably is actually one or two people that have like a huge creative control and vision.
I think like the original OG developer was like Dan Houser or something or whatever his name was, but I think he's out of the picture now. Of these later games, so you don't fucking know. So it's like it's like the more you think about it, the more you realize like these guys are fucking. I don't know shit about them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's just like I don't think they're the greatest games, but at the same time, like
they're a huge achievement. I don't mean to denigrate them unwarrantedly, but
no, I don't care. I don't care if you denigrate them. I don't have any.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
You gotta see. There's something about it that's like weird. Maybe it's just more comfortable to like shrug it off. I get it, but it's just. I think in the future you're gonna see. Then again, we'll all see. I mean, because we're already saying like, oh, we're gonna get like Alien Disclosure before GTA 6 or some shit.
GTA, as I said, is interesting because it has such a broad appeal. Wildly different kinds of gamers play it. There's a reason why it's such a huge blockbuster franchise. It has a just a huge array of people play it.
Okay, and I'll also ask you specifically, name one game where you could stab a hooker, steal $500, invest that $500 in a virtual stock market by immediately pulling out your virtual smartphone, which has all the smartphone capabilities of contacting people and going on the web, and then actually investing your money and being able to get a huge return, to be able to gamble that at a casino, to be able to buy a Gatling gun with that money, to rob a bank with that. Like, what other game can you fucking do that?
Yeah, that's kind of simulationism, yeah. And fun.
Not only that level of simulation is, but accessible to any idiot who could pick up a fucking
The accessible to any idiot is a big factor. Like, Dwarf Fortress has intense, insane simulation of physics.
But not to that.
But only a turbo autist is ever going to play Dwarf Fortress, or at least play it to the part
where they could
where you're
see
doing physics puzzles with it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Like Space Station 13, where I could like lace the pizza with LSD, and suddenly everyone in the server is seeing like spiders and aliens like getting hallucinated onto the ship. Yeah, like I get it, but you know that's a different kind of.
That's actually an interesting element too of GTA, is that level of simulationism with a mainstream appeal, because normally that level of granular or like fun, emergent gameplay, unusual details are in very janky games designed for turbo autists.
This means that Rockstar has access to the craziest gaming technology that the industry has to offer, essentially. With their Rage engine, whatever they built in-house, that crazy Dark Wizard shit. Whoever they got building that fucking Rage engine is on next level insane shit. Military technology, maybe. What other game company is doing it? No one.
I will say that other GTA, there's a bunch of GTA clones, and I think
they don't do it the same way, though.
They don't. I think it's just very difficult to pull off. Like, there's a bunch of forgotten games from the mid-aughts that were copying GTA 3, and they always had, like, any open world game. It's like you can go around, collect a bunch of tokens, but the world is boring. And, like, whatever fun things you could do in it kind of falls out in favor. I know the people that, like, talk up, what are the superhero ones? Infamous, Prototype, Outbreak, Outrage, something. There's another superhero GTA.
Well, there's also, like, Saints Row.
Saints Row just went fully into being what I was saying I wanted more of.
But it's like it sucked.
Yeah, it sucked. And it was just... Saints Row is interesting aesthetically because Saints Row feels like a early prototype of Fortnite.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's accurate, but like the wacky skins, high frantic energy, all that stuff. It felt like Saints Row was doing an early version of like everything is teal and pink and deliberately wacky shit is happening.
Yeah. I guess it's as I get more, I don't know, very gradually more into programming. It's just I see the game structure. You know, like I see like, okay, so this game is built up off of multiple layers of assets. That's the skybox. These are the assets flying around, and they're pre-coded directives and what they do, their functions built in that are probably not that different from my own as a player or user. It's like I see it happening, and it's like, okay. But then I see like, you know, games you would take for granted because of their mass appeal, like Grand Theft Auto, and then I see it now and I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like the amount of slave
masterfully designed, yeah.
The amount of slave labor and money that went into this shit. Anyway, we could take a quick recess real quick. I'm just gonna piss and get water. All right. Now we're down to the most uncomfortable but most important part of the podcast. Talk about life. Personal life. All right. I just want to talk about, let's see, what can I talk about? I mean, the biggest things to talk about when it comes to life, honestly, it's usually surrounded something to do with sex, family, like trauma, mental, like trauma. That's a good one. Comfort, you know, people just want to be comfortable with themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like as far as what's traumatized me in the past, it's fine. You know, it's like I'm kind of over it. I'm just afraid of like the things that are going to traumatize me. I'm not really afraid, but I am kind of worried. It doesn't warrant some worry. Like when I don't know if I had to witness World War III in my lifetime. It'll be interesting to say the least.
Not having kids makes that more appealing, though less appealing than when I was younger. When I was 23, I would have been like, yeah, bring on World War III. I want to see it. I want to see it all burn. I want to do something meaningful. If I die, I don't care. Now I'm like, I don't know about this.
It's kind of spooky.
yeah, but it was thrilling when I was younger.
This is kind of too spooky. I don't want to do this anymore.
A big factor with excuse me. In the past, the median age was just much lower. Regardless of who decision makers were, maybe there was just more of a readiness to go to war in the past when everyone was younger, even if young people weren't making decisions. As in if the entire society's median age is 25, maybe you as a country are more likely to get into a war than if the median age is 45. Like on a broader psychological level. I don't even know what exactly would have the factor, but like the entire society is just more youthful. And now a society like ours where everyone is much older, even younger people act like older people. Maybe that's part of what was so significant for boomers, was they were such a large cohort and they were so young. I meet young guys who are very risk adverse, myself included, in a way that would suggest a much older person. Whereas, like, in 1970, there were people that were 40 that were like, I'm going to blow up my marriage to try and get, to smoke weed and try and get laid. Admittedly, it was something new and fresh for them. It wasn't available for them when they were young. But it seems like even older people, like when the average age is 25, old people act young. When the average age is 45, young people act old.
As opposed to nowadays where young people act old?
Yeah. Maybe I'm over-determining this or really pressing on something that isn't true.
I mean, do you feel like you act older than you should?
When I was younger, yes. Now I probably act younger than I should, but it's an overcorrection of something when I was more.
Where's your standard sourced from?
That's a good point. I don't really know. So maybe that's another factor, is that there's no clear standard provider generator, so it's all free floating uncertainty.
I think your maturity is contingent on how well you know yourself. The better you know yourself, the more mature you're ultimately going to become. Truthfully. You could be an evil motherfucker, but at least you'll be mature about it. And you could be a saint, but at least you'll be mature about it. There could be an immature saint. You could be an immature evil motherfucker.
Yeah.
Chaotic versus lawful. That's really how I see it. I mean, know thyself, right?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Like, it's usually the maturity comes from not contradicting yourself. It's usually the immature people who say they believe in one thing and then they do something completely different, and then they'll claim to do that thing again, and then they'll go back to doing the opposite. That's the impetuous nature of the youth. They go on extremes. I mean, they're passionate, which is noble of them. But however, they could be passionate about the right thing one thing and then the complete evil thing the next thing, and think they're in the complete, because they're so passionate about it. They're zealots.
Right.
Zealotry. Whereas the wiser mind is more so about not like that. They're not really about the extremes. They're looking for the grays. They're looking for the good and the bad and the bad and the good. I think that to me is real maturity. It's to realize your current age is kind of redundant, because guess what? No matter how old you are, you still end up at the same place as everyone else at the end of the story. So why hyper focus on that? Why waste time? Yeah. It's a waste of energy. Ultimately, it just boils down to what you want to do and have you done it or not, and if not, why, and how much do you regret not doing it?
Yeah.
That's the only thing that makes you feel old. If you're not in that state, you could be 60 years old and feel like every day is new if you've already done the thing you've wanted to do. If you already did the thing.
Yeah.
It's like the feeling I had after winning that sword tournament. I was like, I could die tonight. Tonight, and I'll be completely satisfied. And if you can maintain that feeling, which you realize isn't contingent on a sword tournament or isn't contingent on a rock show or whatever, or fucking that supermodel. No, it could happen at any time to anyone for anything. You just got to know how to tap into that. Then suddenly, like, questions like good and evil and mature and immature, redundant. I'm more fascinated how, like, more people don't get it sooner. It's just, I guess, like, I don't know, trauma blocks it. You know, it's like, I have to make more money. Why? I don't know. I just have to. Who the fuck are you to tell me otherwise? I'll pay some guy to kill you. Shut up. You know, like, it's that simple. Like, all right, well, have fun with that. You know. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? I'm gonna try to force you to change? No. And maybe this is why more mature people end up being low key, because as a mature peoples, you realize you can't really change peoples. You know.
Yeah.
If anything, as a mature person, you're going to be better off seeming immature. Let them think you're stupid. Let them think you're naive. Let them think you're an idiot. Let them think you're ignorant. That's the smarter move. What do you gain otherwise? Status, power, control, another target on your back? Great. This is where you tap into, like, Dionysian wisdom.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like all these any of the stuff I'm saying is like one hard and fast rule. I'm just saying you got to learn how to put these archetypes on, like, costumes when necessary. You're not going to put a hazmat suit on when you're trying to go scuba diving. You're not going to put a scuba diving suit on when you're trying to, like, storm an enemy base. You know, like, you got to know what framework to adopt when appropriate.
Yeah.
Because, you know, and this is hard for people when they think, I am my sadness, I am my fury, I am my righteous indignation, I am my trauma. You know, if you identify too much with a singular state, singular archetype, then that's all you're going to be. You don't have to be that way. You just choose to be. And this is true because you don't even have to be alive. You just want to be. This goes back to what we were saying before. I think the greatest wisdom is just the real canon just connects to each other in a cohesive, harmonized way. I think the most spiritual people come off as spiritual not all at once in the beginning, but it's like first they'll say one thing and you'll be like, that sounds pretty good. Then they'll say the next thing and you're like, you know, I kind of agree with that. I never thought of it that way. And they say the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and eventually you kind of get the whole picture that way with, you know, seeing that perspective, their different perspectives. And you realize, wow, there's something about this person that I really dig. And it's because all those things, those little things that you engage with are connected by one unifying perspective, is that everyone's just the same soul living out different lives in different bodies. And if you can't accept that, then you're never going to reach that meta perspective. If you're too locked into your race, your gender, your age group, your generation, your religion, your culture, you know, your identity. Meanwhile, those are the things that are the most temporary.
They are. People could be very different people over the course of their lives.
Exactly. So why hyper-focus on that? If anything, that's what makes you sick. That's what makes you immature. That's what makes you stupid. That's what makes you clumsy. That's what makes you, like, discombobulated, because you're so hyper-focusing on an ephemeral thing that's supposed to fade. It's like trying to keep a house guest longer than they even want to be there, you know? And this usually stems from not having enough time with something. Scarcity mindset. No, I don't have enough time with this concept. I don't have enough time with this identity. I don't have enough time before I got to be a rich, powerful young man mogging everyone. I never got enough time. Scarcity shit. Doesn't fucking matter. Because guess what? Even that guy, he ends up in the same place as you, in the dirt. Like, accept it.
Yeah. In death, all men are equal.
Exactly. We forget that. We forget memento mori. I don't. And I think what helps me not forget it is martial arts practice.
Yeah.
Because, like, I do the same shit as all my other peers. I go on the internet. I do drugs. I fucking doom scroll. I do, you know, I drink alcohol. I watch slop. What do I do so differently? And I think it's the martial arts practice, because that keeps me in touch with, like, violence and force and pain. Not just, like, you know, inflicting on others or others inflicting on me, but the kind I inflict on myself, you know? No one's paying me to do it, but I'm doing it because it's something bigger than me, older than me. It's enriching for me, you know? It's exquisite.
Yeah.
There's so much depth. I could do it for 8 years or 80 years and there'll still be more to learn. Those things are rare. Same with, like, learning an instrument, learning how to paint, like learning how to take proper photos, learning how to actually write a solid essay or a report. Those things stand the test of time over any slop content, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Or any shit post.
The immediacy of it.
Yeah. And it takes
more produced immediacy.
Yeah. And it takes more time to produce these things, and it takes more time to see the fruits of their production, but it's worth it. That's what I've always focused on. I've always focused on like long-term satisfaction as opposed to like short-term, honestly. I'm gonna keep doing it. And so what? You know, if it means like, you know, I don't get the immediate satisfaction I would have in my 20s, at least I won't squander it in my 30s or 40s, you know. I'll work diligently, and you know, the people who stick by me until then, it's like great. You could share in with me, but you know, it's like whether anyone sticks around or not, it's like it's not going to change my directive. Whether they have faith in that or not, it's not my concern. You know, I know where I'm going to be, and regardless of whether I succeed or not, guess what? We're still going to end up at 6 feet under. You know?
Yeah.
So there's no pressure, but I'm still going to try anyway. And I already know that's enough because like it's rare. And I know I'm not going to make stupid decisions because I don't feel the need to. I'm not trying to do fentanyl. I'm not trying to do coke. I'm not trying to fucking, you know, fuck everything that moves. Like I know I'm not ruled by my impulses because we've tested that. I've tested it. I've experimented on that level. I've quit porn, you know, like I've reduced my diet to eating like less, you know, not more than necessary.
What's your weight?
I don't fucking know. Probably like 140 something.
Yeah. I'm like around 145, I think.
Yeah. I just know like the muscle is denser than fat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, sometimes I think about getting bigger. Sometimes I think about like just like drastically upping my protein and like getting like very like heavier weights. Like,
yeah,
much heavier weights. If I did, I could easily bulk up probably, but it's just I don't know. I don't want to mess around too much with what I got. I will.
It also requires more maintenance with it. You're already doing a lot, but
me?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not working out for aesthetics. I'm working out for performance.
Yeah, so you're strong and agile enough. Yeah.
Although if there was like a 6'2" guy with like huge, he could probably just lift me up and just throw me like easily. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you have to go for the vitals. But yeah, like easily. I know my limits. That's why like I'm not trying to be the biggest, strongest fighter. Like I'm gonna be a sword fighter. Because with a sword, I could kill anything. I could kill anybody. You just better have a gun or something. You know,
the tool really supersedes a lot of physical stuff. Yeah.
My main concern with my body is to not have anything getting in the way of me and my sword.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's not that I care about being fat. It's just I know that extra bit of gut is going to get in the way of that like extra bit of swing that I could need. Or it's like the extra bit of I don't know, like the lack of cardio can just make me like last a little less longer than I need to win that fight.
Yeah,
it's just maxing out, right? Like sword maxing.
Maxing is a case of incel internet terminology entering the mainstream, but
I guess it is, yeah, because that's pretty much what I'm doing. I'm just eliminating shortening the delta, closing the delta. Yeah, so that's you know, it's pretty much what I've been on with martial arts, but also like I'm gonna go back on keto.
Yeah,
it's time. I mean, I feel the content creation demand stepping up. I want to set up a gaming stream with my friend Vince so we could stream some video games.
What are you playing?
Dark Tide.
Okay.
You ever heard of that game?
Yeah, it's a PvE Warhammer 40k game, right?
Yeah, like Left 4 Dead type shit.
Yeah.
You just play as like rejects in the Imperial Heresy prison
Are they
collective.
Yeah.
You get sent in to kill like hives of heretics and infested peoples.
It's interesting once again coming around to the social element being more key often than anything else.
Well, the person I'm doing it with, he's into like occult shit, and like what was interesting was like I asked him, I was like, what would you like to do? What are some of your goals? You know, like what would you like to get accomplished with the stream? And he told me, he was like, I'd like to be a voice for like a more positive voice for younger generations than like say like Asmongold or something.
Yeah.
I was like, all right. And I asked that because that would kind of like change up how I would approach the presentation. It's like I would say less curse words or some shit. I'll be like, okay, I'll be less black pilled or some shit. Really, I just want to do it for the shekels. I want the fucking gamer shekels. I'm sorry, I want the Twitch gamer shekels because they're so easy to get, and I see like idiots like fucking accumulating them, and I'm like, yo, if they think that's good, I could fucking put people on some crazy. I just needed a person to do it with, but I found it, so I'm gonna run with it. I'm gonna make some gamer shekels. And if I could quit my job doing that, woo, goddamn, it's over. So yeah, for all you listeners, be on the lookout for a streaming channel coming up soon with Eudaimania, aka Vincent, and we'll slay some heretics. It'll be a good time. Anyway, you got any closing statements?
Nah, I don't have any closing statements. Besides, thank you for having me here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
There's one thing I'd like to close on. You got any predictions for 2026? Like, I try to dig for something, you know?
Easy one. Big Democrat wins in the midterm elections. It seems like the general trend. Maybe it's wrong, but I think that's the case. 2016 otherwise.
2026, you mean?
2026. Fuck. I'm going to be doing this a lot in my life. I think there'll be like one superhero movie that will do well. I don't know what it is. Everything else is going to underdeliver.
All right.
These are very predictable ones. I don't have anything grandiose here. The AI bubble might burst, but AI is still a viable technology. I don't know if it'll burst yet, but it's still a viable technology.
All right, fair enough. Well, with that, have a happy new year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
And God bless. Stay safe. Peace out.